more questions, we could answer them.
issue is that when yesterday I did like a 15-minute recording and a 47 gigabyte video came out. It was so fun. It was so fun. Where do we talk for the general?
I'm the weird one out by not having muted myself, but I don't feel like muting myself.
TLMC. Three questions. Oh, Killer can't talk right now. Let's do this instead. Okay, questions will go there. It will be so easier. I love this. I am loving this. Okay, which maps do you guys want to go first? Just type it out, or just say it in mic. It's fine either way. Why you know Bloodbath? Dude, people love Bloodbath, okay? They had so much fun. They had so much fun. Peter's favorite map, I think. 10-10 2v2 game of the year will stand the test of time. Truly the best map. Nothing comes close. Yep, people love it. As opposed to, let's say, Salty Tears.
Well, if we're gonna go over the maps, character has 5. I guess we could start with one of them.
Yeah, I legitimately don't know who made which maps until today.
Okay. This one is one of them.
Sandstorm, Descent. Zachary has Forgotten Groove. Jacob's Summit. Hexagon by Teammate. Oratorio by Sigurat. Burning Bridges by Character. Ideally, we want to just say that maps with split bases are like not the best, but we still got like a couple of them into the finalists. Are you going over the finalists? Yeah, both. We will be going ideally over the finalists because the finalists has some outlines of what is good, what works, and we will be mentioning some of the smaller maps that didn't make it. Oh yeah, and also I need to close my music program to avoid problems with sounds. We have, this is Burning Bridges. Let's see. By the way, are you guys still not having like any drop video issues?
No drops so far.
Oh, that's amazing. I love this now. 43. Yeah, I'm sure that they had like lots of fun typing that line out. StarCraft 2 now supports up to 15 cliff layers, up from 3.
Just had a bit of a drop, but it didn't ever like fully drop.
Yeah, I just opened like your off-topic link, and it started loading that. So that's perfect. That's actually like very, very good. Did a fixed symmetry? Why? What do you mean fixed symmetry? Symmetry has always worked, unless that you make it not centered enough. For example, if you have Oh, there were a couple of maps that didn't have centered symmetry downs. Oof. Come on, you can do it. Oh, it opened in another window. So, for symmetry, both of those need to be pair numbers. You can't have like uneven numbers. They need to be divisible by 2. Otherwise, you will like be screwing something up somewhere. See, Agaton, do you see? I know the maps. I know how to make maps sometimes. Still to this day. Okay, let's go review.
Just please put the crosshair on the main. I love it every time.
Finalists, quality assurance. Okay. Oratorio. What was the issue with this one? Yeah, this split mains. Oh, who came here? Do we have a wild Meisenhower? By the way, Meisen, you should have a voice priority. So if anybody of the map makers gets like uppity, you can just talk and Discord will like mute them instantly.
Nah, we'll just fight. It'll be all good.
Yeah, you can just slap them around.
How do
That's good too.
Oh, I gotta figure out how this Discord thing. So I can look at what you're looking at. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, you need to click on me. And it will show you that I'm streaming, and then you can just
Okay,
click,
yeah.
Click even further. Click on things until they work. Or if you want, you can stream too, and I can just like load your stream. But I'm at the moment I'm just like using the editor, so it's just faster to use the editor than to load every single map in StarCraft.
Perfectly fine.
So yeah, who would like to go first? You guys are welcome to throw your own maps. Uppity. Yeah, no, we will cut you down, Anarchy. So, Meisen, what did you thought the biggest issues, the 3 biggest issues that you found in the map submitted?
Real quick, how do I look at your video and see the text that people are asking questions?
At the moment, we are in from top down TLMC contest. You will see that there is a new channel that is TLMC. I can just tag you out.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, it's like sensory overload. People have not asked questions because they are like so timid in front of you because they know that they will be cut down, cut to pieces.
Yeah, just give me one more second to try to figure out this thing. But so one thing that did come up a lot in the contest is most of the things I guess that are reasonable to talk about are 2v2. One of the common things that came up in this contest is there was a lot of maps that had expansion patterns where players were greatly diverging and where they were expanding as the game goes on. A lot of maps that created kind of like 2 1v1s, if you know what I mean, kind of experiences in games. And so that was a difficult one to deal with because I think it has its place on ladder, those types of maps, but it's the map type that's going to produce the most wildly different random team versus a range team experience, which I think is something to keep in mind when you're making these maps. Just because, if you spawn, like, you can get these awful games getting RT on these 1 versus 2 1v1 maps and just creates very miserable negative experience for everybody. Yeah, that was one thing I noticed. A lot of just maps where players are spawning in separate directions rather than trying to spawn. I guess expand together. Sorry, I'm a bit under the weather, but yeah.
Yeah, we also had like the most extreme of those was Silver Wall, right? The one where basically this one.
Yeah, I wasn't sure on a Silver Wall. This map is like 99% not playable.
Basically.
I don't know if anyone played Old Country back in the day. That was you just can't divide people in teams. It's just not a workable situation. By divide people, I mean 2 separate teams.
Yeah, like we were discussing if to remove rocks and stuff, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean it's important to note that whenever you're making maps like this, in the basic premise of I guess the easiest way I could put it is like the most cancerous thing you can achieve in 1v1 is much less cancerous than 2s, 3s, 4s, or whatever. So the more time if you just artificially separate everybody like that, like the downside is going to be way higher in a team map than it will be in 1v1.
Yeah. For this one, can you see it, Mason? The Dead Man's Isle Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, for this one, we also like did the play testing and everything, and it just had way too many bases, at least in this case. And after that, it was like just go ahead, Mason, because I know that you had like some complaints about it.
So can you zoom out a bit in the thing? But yeah, so an issue with this map would be so basically the game is there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bases or whatever it is, all in this little small area.
Yep.
Beyond that, there's not really worth anything super fighting for on this map. It's really if you notice, I know like the Burning Bridges was kind of an interesting map just to counter to this because it has all the wide spaces on the side where you're kind of, yes, players are going to go in a separate direction of that map, but there's a lot of maybe interesting stuff to do over there. This map is like, let's just have players turtle on 7 bases and then that's pretty much it. It's not worth going out and doing too much else. I think this map is actually like super narrow. The games are going to be decided on who takes that first cluster of bases you kind of have highlighted.
Infraction, which one is it? Agaton is asking for a map in specific. Let me load it up. I believe that is for 3v3. For 4v4. Yeah, we will be focusing more than anything else in 2v2s, Agaton, because like some of the 4v4s were like not play testable at all, basically. Yeah, Sumi E. It actually got like
4v4 just generally is difficult to, obviously it's hard to figure out how a 4v4 map is going to play, and I think all 4v4 maps are just, I'm not sure if there's a good 4v4 map. I don't know if anyone who's played enough 4v4 might understand. I mean, I think everything is going to be, different shades of medium.
Yeah, this is Sumi E, which was by Panzerman. It actually made it like fairly high, and I was very candid to this one. But after playtesting, we saw like some certain issues, especially like with rocks and certain positions, which could be like very easily abused. And the case, for example, of third bases, specifically for relating to Zerg players, were like very easily deniable. I'm not sure if you remember that game, Eisen, because I was playing with Poke Bunny, I believe.
Yeah. I have to figure out what's the best. I'm probably gonna just open the map on ladder so I can look at it other than just what you're looking at. So give me a second.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, the deco is gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. Main issue though is that when playing, it's like problematic though. Like, look at this. Look at this. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. But as I stated, the problem is that the lighting is like just way too aggressive on the eyes, and just if you are playing with like hybrid graphical settings, I'm not sure how that will play out. But beyond that, it's beautiful. Bed of Chaos. The biggest issue is that I can't be opening. Whatever you guys ask for a map, be sure to tell me the amount of players that it has, so that I can easily tell if we did. The biggest, we focus ourselves in 2v2 beyond 3v3 and 4v4.
Yeah, Beta Chaos was just impossible to have both players get 3 bases, was the problem with that map.
Burning Bridges, I'm still trying to find it within the doc file. Okay. Please. Put it QA.
Yeah, the issue with Bed of Chaos is just this, I guess it's the 6th base. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is so far away from your main base. It's just so exposed. Like, this is 2 Zerg teams are just gonna, or any, if you have 1 Zerg, especially 2 Zergs, it's just miserable. Like, look where your 3rd base is. It's just in the middle of nowhere. It's halfway across the map, pretty much.
This was the one with the rocks. Yep. Yeah, we just went ahead and to play test it. We uploaded it to the testing, and yeah, when we got into the game, we just quickly realized that there are no third bases basically. Oh, there is one, and there is this one, which is also like so far away. It is not feasible for it. Which is one other of the issues that was basically a constant. Like, players need third bases, basically, and if the map doesn't provide like accessible third bases that at the same time it's not like all clumped up at the back, like way too easy to take, then it will just get like a lower rating, which was the case for this map in particular, because it looked like quite interesting from the overview at first sight, but when doing the actual testing, nope, sadly. Let me see.
Yeah, that was also the issue with Sumi. Is just the like Zergs, or like it was just a map where Zergs were gonna have a miserably hard time getting third bases established.
Yeah, which is what ended up happening to me. But it is what it is.
Yeah, and as you mentioned with those rocks, just the general attacking like downhill into that base you have kind of centered on, that's not really at all enjoyable. It's very abusive for defending, because you're attacking into someone attacking. You're defending uphill. There's rocks. It's just a very horrible position to try to deal with defensively.
Yeah, for example, for 1v1, like positions such as this is not impossible to take, but because in team games the armies are composites to each other, you just can't attack like uphill. It becomes like such a huge comparable, like it's a problem.
Well, yeah. So to just answer Killer Smile's question, yeah, I mean, you can't, as you guys know from making 1v1 maps and stuff, you can't really play like a proper game of Legacy of Void on 2 bases. So yeah, if you're just gonna be like, hey, only one person on your team gets 3 bases, it's just not really very good.
So it was in his third base. It's not a bug. Yeah, it needs to be at least one third base for each player, Killer. He just asked, so just one EC third is not enough. So yeah, it needs to be one for each player, and you need to still allow like ideally further expansion roads for the players. But after the fourth, for example, you can add rocks or something like that. But it needs to be like until the third.
And yeah, also one other thing about just one easy third base is also, yeah, you have to remember like there are going to be X amount of games where just 2 Zergs on a team, and then you have to remember, you know, how does not having both third bases be easy-ish to take? You know, your 2 Zergs, how does it impact 2 Zergs? How does it impact TP, like the optimal turtle comp?
Yeah, that's basically it.
Like there's an interesting map was let me pull up the name. The intergalactic process.
I just had it with. Yep.
That's not the right one. Sorry.
No, yeah,
Elements,
this is just blue. Yep.
No, that's a lot of people.
No, this map is awesome. Whoever made it, good for you. I actually meant to talk about conjoined elements though, but this map is very cool.
Okay.
Maizen? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay.
So conjoined elements is a kind of interesting exercise for the idea of like how easy is it to take third bases, and then also how easy is it to defend them. So this is a kind of curious map because it's very, very hard to take your third base if you're a Terran or Protoss player. Like Zerglings can kind of just prevent you from expanding to that third base area for a very long time. But once you do have a third base, it's an issue of there's really not many feasible ways to attack into this base. And then because of the way the bases are positioned, holding that third base area gives you such command over like the entire center of the map and a lot of easy access to your opponent's thirds and fourths. And it creates kind of this huge bottleneck where it's really hard to take the base, but once you take it, it's really impossible to dislodge you from that position if you're just, you know, sitting there massing up some obnoxious siege tank carrier nonsense.
Basically, yeah. For this one, Maizen had the request if we could change or remove this base and add like an extra ramp in here in order to allow for an easy time breaching of this section. Because once this becomes like locked down by either team, then the center of the map becomes like not pathable basically. And that's like,
wouldn't it make more sense to also switch around the gold base's orientations if you add a ramp where you pointed out?
Sorry, I crashed my Discord.
Changing the orientations. Yeah, I will guess so, but from a map making perspective, it will be like just better to remove them basically.
Yeah, for sure.
Just
I don't think
remove
they
them
should be
because
there.
they are like just winner spaces, and
Yeah,
rotate the
yeah,
orientations will make it even more so.
definitely.
And I'm just not clear. It was very unclear to me what those middle bases were trying to accomplish, and also they just like they're just creating these horrible chokes for the, you know, because it's just it's impassable terrain pretty much. You just can't really access that area because it's low ground.
There we go. That's much better.
Oh,
Yeah, I was kind of curious, like, what would this map just? I think it's funny because I ended up taking one of those bases in the game just because I was trying to, you know, I had so much extra money, I was trying to expand anywhere. But yeah, it functionally kind of is just a dead space, like a blank hole in the middle of the map.
Yeah, it is. They are really just winner spaces.
oh, it's curiously not painting something, but anyhow. Yep.
Another
so
funny
that
thing
was
with
the
this
case.
map. Another one funny thing is your fourths are so close to your opponent that if you're kind of like siege, if you just have like siege tanks or whatever, it's like yeah, there's no really place to maneuver. You kind of just hold the entire map by just holding the middle as it is now.
Also, the vision blockers don't help you to defend.
Oh yeah.
That's just a pain. I mean, also the base is just laid out so that it's so open. If it was more in like a little cube closer to the main, that would make a lot more sense because it'd be a lot easier to defend. Overall, I actually do like this map, but I understand how bad it would be for this to be in the pool for low league players. It would be a nightmare, basically.
And just to be clear, when Snowy says low league, this guy was formerly on a pro team, so he's just, you know.
Okay.
So
fine.
all of us, everyone else besides him.
No,
Everyone,
anything under Master 1, basically.
Anyhow, let's jump to Enzyme. That's a request by Negative Zero. Because it basically went over the...
Yeah, this was in a prior map contest, and we talked about. I think this was a map that just has another issue of the exterior bases. I guess it's like the 7 o'clock ish, and 1 o'clock ish bases are just so open. It's just this huge open area that's very hard to hold. Just below and down and to the right. It's like one person's third base.
And these ones.
No, up on the there would be one person's third base. It's just
yeah.
Also, it's too small. This would be a 1v1 map, in my opinion.
well, it's
I mean,
weird
there
when
aren't
you
enough
load this
bases.
up. The spaces are like very prone to getting link flooded. A map like this, just way
No, I
too
can
much open
tell.
space.
Yeah, you can just look at it when
From
opening
surrounds.
the editor.
Yeah, you have to be like that's. So another issue is with in general things to keep in mind whenever you're building like initial base structure is like how does this work against Ling Hellion? Is going to be one of your biggest questions whenever you're designing like third bases. Because imagine you're the one person who's trying to take their third base against the team just spamming Ling Hellion. And it's to keep that in mind.
What is this? Oh, does it mirror everything you do on the other side?
Yeah. It's just a symmetry tool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Magic.
No, but I really do think if you made this map like twice as big, but you kept the open spaces chokeable, I think this would be pretty viable. Because I like the idea and the layout and the outer path. Like you can at most get like or they're dead. There's no chance for a proper macro game on this at all.
Yeah.
By the way, shout out to Catalyst. Good map. I actually
also it's too easy to fucking siege the main. And Catalyst was a great map. Yeah.
We had Catalyst in the live report team league. I think it was before it was on ladder. So yeah, we're doing it up, supporting you guys.
Oh yeah, and this is like Negative loves to like just take bits of his own maps. Like this is Catalyst, 100%. Like all of this chunk.
I still call it Neo Catalyst sometimes.
Backspace. Okay, yeah. Chibi wants to mention. Boop boop. Okay. Do you remember, Myson, that the maps that you requested to remove the mineral line? This one. I believe it was this one, or it was other one, which...
Yeah, there was that mineral wall. I'm not sure what the mineral wall is trying to achieve. It can't make the map having that little mineral wall. Yeah, we remove that because I just don't think there's any way it makes the map better anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't. It just makes it far worse, honestly.
And it is just full blown like visual brr, as Chibi was saying. That is the maker. But
it's a pretty cool concept, but
no, yeah, I mean it will be painful to play it in some of the low graphical settings or hybrid settings that some of the pros like to play on.
But if you look at the actual gameplay aspect of it, it's
the layout is like pretty good
to expand. I hate those expansions. You see the base right by where your mouse is to the left?
Yep, this one.
I hate that one. And there's a ramp right to the right of it with destructible rocks.
This one.
You break those rocks and siege that base, your opponent's going to be on 2 bases for all of eternity, and you can't win the game.
You think so? Yeah.
Never build bases like
now.
that. It's just counterproductive. We've seen it so many times, and they never make for good games or good gameplay.
So it is the same issue that it had the previous map. Which was it? The one that was sent like the black and white one.
Lunaro? No. I don't
Sumi.
remember what it was called.
Sumi. I just
Oh, yeah, yeah.
instantly forget the names. I'm just too much of a boomer nowadays. But yeah, it was exactly the same issue as Sumi. That composite like this position will be like completely fine basically for 1 versus 1, but for 2 versus 2 it just becomes impossible because the terrain advantage, the terrain difference is overpowering.
It's also too close to the base. If that was like 50% more into the middle of the map,
yeah, a little bit more,
it'd be fine. But then the
if
map has
this
to be a lot
were
bigger
like
overall, and that's exactly. Then it'd be fine.
yeah, so there you go. Chibi. That's the main problems with it. And for example, what do you think, Maisen, of the comparison between the split bases and maps such as this one? Because we did ended up with like some maps which had the split main bases, such as I believe Hexagon and Oratorio.
Yeah, so I just think let me look it up.
Yep, let me load it up. It's fine. We have
Oh yeah,
Oratorio
so
in
I
here.
think I just think what's most important is that the player I'd prefer players to spawn in the same base, honestly, if I
Mhm.
but generally it just multiple ramps into a natural is always tricky. And as when you were mentioning earlier, the 3s and 4 maps, like most 3 and 4 maps just get disqualified just because as they're completely unplayable because they just separate one person too far from their teammates. It's very important to have both players have plenty of access to each other's setup early in games. Otherwise, you get really just awful rushes all the time.
Yep.
Also, there's another aspect to this. I don't know what the map maker had in mind with separating the main bases, but I don't think there's any point to it on this map. It just makes it more difficult to defend.
Yeah, it just makes it more
and nothing
difficult.
other than that.
Yeah,
And
it's
this
a visual
this would be a
addition.
really, really fun map if you spawned together in the same base and you had one shared ramp, which is a bit bigger, and 2 backdoor expansions. In my opinion, I think it'd be a really, really good map. I think it'd be a candidate for like the best 2v2 map because I love the middle of this map and the terrain and the way the gameplay becomes. We played this map a few times and I thought it was very entertaining. But getting killed by early siege tank pushes will be common occurrence.
Well, maybe
because there's
we
not
can
much
do
you
some
can do.
changes to it. Maybe we can add like a document detailing to the dev team that we want this, otherwise we just
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's
we'll
Snowy
riot.
made a good point. Yeah, like I think don't split up the players is just there's no upside to having some kind of crazy base setup compared to just putting the players together and letting the map actually function.
Yeah. Also, some of the bases, like if you look at the second, the base to your left, upper left. No, the right one, upper right.
Some of the bases, it's difficult because you don't have the
I know.
to say, for example,
just where your mouse is. No, to the left.
It's always difficult. I try to do the clock things like
yeah, no,
one
exactly,
more
exactly.
left.
Like map makers are just used to say, okay, this is the 9 o'clock, that the 3
Okay,
o'clock,
one more left.
etc. One more left. Okay.
This space. Yes. This is so easy to siege up, especially due to the destructible rocks. I think if there was just some airspace between this and the low ground, it would be perfect. But as of now, it's so easy to like drop 2 siege tanks on the low ground, siege up, and then drop some bio on the high ground, and there's basically nothing the defender can do if they don't have a lot more supply. But equal supply, they're literally just dead. There's nothing.
You very much
So some
think
airspace
so?
between that. Yes, definitely. The destructible rocks, you cannot push into that at all. Those ones, yes.
Yep.
there's nothing you can do unless you have like mass air or a lot more supply. Like I said, yeah.
And what would you
This map
do in
is
that
still strong for
situation?
Terran.
Because you still want this area to be defensible, for example, of any army like attacking up, or is just that not really much of a problem?
You can
Like, would
keep the
you-
rocks. You can. You just have to have some airspace between
So
this
just the
base that I
airbase.
mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, airspace there. You need to make the map a little bit bigger, basically. The lower base needs to. Yeah, exactly. The base needs to be moved to the left. Yes, this is what I mean. And yeah, on the base as well, pretty much. I think it would improve the map a lot. Perfect. Yes, this is exactly how I'd
Yes,
want it.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Even,
will
even more of a distance if you were to like nitpick it.
Yeah, you can rotate the base and do like some other
Yeah.
more strange things. But yeah, this is
Mhm.
why we wish we had like an iteration phase.
Yeah.
We could just do like all of this all the time. Let me see. So this will be oratorio. What do you thought of the central ramps? I personally like, because I'm such a sucker for like just making maps matter or making like terrain matter in like blatant ways. I thought that this was like cute, but I'm not sure if it will work. But
I have no idea what it's trying to do, but it's gonna do something.
Well, we'll have to see. Yeah, it's gonna do something. From my perspective, it's just like a positional like war advantage. Like you can position lurkers or whatever, but that doesn't really happen much. But we'll see. Reclamation was fine.
Is actually worth talking about because Reclamation was, I think, far and away the best map in the contest. And it's funny because I have a very checkered past with Abyssal Reef. I was the person that pushed for Ascension Ire to be map of the year for Team Liquid for us in
You.
2017.
It was you.
I'm very pro Ascension Ire, very anti Abyssal Reef. And this
Wow.
is
this was,
Abyssal Reef, as everyone knows. This is Abyssal Reef, a map which gave everybody 5 free bases, and every game just turned into a huge turtle fest once pros learned how to they could safely get on 5 bases without being threatened.
I lost to a fair amount of like random late game tank and mech attacks in that freaking map.
Dark first stats from the SSL finals, where Dark is like, fuck it, I can't. There's no point in going across this map. I'm just gonna sit here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Reclamation is interesting because so this works well because the players, yes, they're split mains, but there's no way to exploit the split mains. No matter what, you're going to have to get to the split mains, you're going to have to get into this communal, neutral, low ground territory, which is easily defendable by both people.
You're forgetting something, Maizen. On this map, you can actually wall on the low ground on the natural basis. You don't have to wall on the main, and it's perfectly fine.
You can also
defend even a 12 pool.
Yeah. So
even a 12 pool.
Yes. God, yes.
Ooh. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just interesting because this is a good example of the bases are split, but the players are all funneled into one area, so you have this central thing to defend from, and it's cool because I think this map is actually, because you're having to shove all these extra bases in. Yes, I always thought Abyssal Reef was a very narrow map because it felt like most games kind of just, everyone just stuck to that little pocket of 5 bases or whatever it was. But the way teams are going to have to take these bases very quickly, I think you're really going to see attacks from all over the place and a lot of different places to do fun things. So I like this one a lot.
This is truly a great map, and I think the most important part of what makes this map great is actually the basis with the bonus gas geyser. And part of why I say that is because it makes it harder to expand properly. It chooses you're forced to make a choice. Either you expand more further away from your other expansions, or you take an expansion which could be sieged up by Tempests or siege tanks or brood lords or swarm hosts, and it adds a certain dynamic to the map, a choice which other maps don't really have. So this is a great map overall.
Okay. There is one issue though. There are cannon rush spots in here.
Oh.
We saw them in quality assurance, and I saw them when the map like instantly came up. But you guys will have fun with that. I will just veto it.
Yeah, me too. Cannon rushes, fuck them.
No, but
Jeez.
it's gonna be fun. It is not that dangerous though, because you have.
Can I just mention that I think the only thing that could make this map better is to have the natural expansions be a little bit bigger in terms of size. Like
I will
it'd make the map a little bigger, but I think it would make the map better as well. That's about the only thing.
I believe these are them all. Yeah, there was another one here that was found, but it is like not that much of a problem, really. Yeah, so
I don't think it's that huge of a deal.
no, it is
No.
not really. It's like just edgy and it's like just problematic. It's spooky enough, but it's not that much of a problem. Like really.
Yeah. There's actually cannon rushing in team games for sure. There was that one guy. He was played on NA all the time, like 2 years ago. He just went like cannon rushing a sky toss every game. Just there's certain people like that that you run into twos because it's a very small player population that just
One
do that
guy?
shit all
You
the
mean
time.
like 150,000 people?
No, there was Black. I think his
No,
his
I
name
remember
might have
the
been
guy.
Blackhawk. I forget. Like
Yes.
Peter knew about this guy. Like everybody who played enough knew about this guy.
No, I remember him. Yeah.
He had like super low APM. Just that one. Yeah.
I think he had like 70 or something. He wasn't very good, but he was good enough to beat like still low masters people because they didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's a thing. You know. By the way,
Consistency, yeah, you're
I
right.
like the fire. I like this. This is just
This is
there
pretty
you go.
cool. Wait, this
You
is
like the
Bridges?
fire, dude? I find it so over top. Like it's excessive. It's excessive.
I'm sure I
to
won't
me.
even notice it like the 10th time I play on it. I'll just completely forget about it. But the first time it's cool. You open the map and you're like, whoa.
I love this map. It's huge, and I love that. But
Yeah.
cross spawns only.
As a note, we unilaterally the judges decided to make it cross only instead of basically all spawns allowed. So we are a no fun crowd. For all the map makers, please don't make like maps such as this to make all the spawns because it happens the same thing that happens in 1v1. Like 4-player maps are illegal. Okay? So same like 8-player maps in 2v2 are illegal as well. So that's it. Rip the dream. But for this one, we had some good games on it. Like I died
It's
too
a really
early,
fun map.
and I got like vein busted easily like a couple times, but it was good. When it comes to this, like
I don't have too much to say about this map. I just think it's overall quite good. It's like I said, it's huge, but it's not a problem because the bases are not too easy to take, but they're also not too hard to take. There's a certain balance that the map makers found there.
yeah, there was a
and
discussion
it makes for really good games.
if these two bases here were like kind of excessive, especially this one. Maybe make it a half base, but it's okay, at least from my perspective.
It's okay, yeah.
Maisen, if you have any comments regarding the fire.
Looks cool, you know.
Looks cool.
Yeah, I think it does as well.
Dude,
I
like,
don't know
maybe
if
it needs
it
to be toned
makes
down a
sense
little.
from a physics point of view, but it looks cool.
like
Well, we're in space, right?
I have. I'm not sure if we're in space. It just.
Oh, maybe not.
It's just a volcano. I just have like post-traumatic stress disorder from 2014 when I made Foxtrot Labs, and I played around a little bit with the lighting.
Wait, you made that?
Yeah,
I love that map.
I know everybody hates it, and there is
No, I
like a
loved
couple guys, and there is like a couple guys like in the entire planet that love it. That people like just. I made it for pro gamers to suffer, but it is what
There
it
was
is. Just
a
to make.
couple really good. There were a couple really funny like Gabe's on Foxtrot for sure.
Yeah,
Like
Atosis at the
know
end ended up
Stu
loving it.
Proxy hatched Maru one time on it. That's one of my favorite Foxtrot games.
Yep, exactly that kind of stuff. That to make it like fun to watch, not fun to play. That's the dream.
Back then, you did not proxy hatch Terrans. So.
Wait, actually, I have something to say about this map. I don't think if you go to the Watchtower, I don't think
In the
it
center.
needs to be that claustrophobic.
Yeah,
can
the
just be
Watchtower
open.
is a bit much having it like that.
No, I mean the Watchtower in the middle is fine. It's just what surrounds it is completely unnecessary, in my opinion. There doesn't need to be any vision blockers, and there doesn't need to be those little buildings or whatever they are.
Yeah, that's yeah. It's a bit unnecessary to have the whole setup around the Watchtower.
You think
Yes,
so?
I
got
one Zergling.
Yeah, I got one Serling in that I was watching everything all the time
Yeah.
until you guys realized what the hell was going on.
Well, I mean, what I mean is, if you're gonna kill one Zergling, you could just siege a tank behind one of the buildings, and you basically can't kill the Ling. I think it's stupid. Just remove all of them, in my opinion.
Okay. And for example, for future maps that might want to use this, so you will prefer something different or on a case by case basis.
I mean, personally, I hate all kinds of this. I think Watchtower should be more in the open because they should be
Points of
should be difficult to
contention.
fight for them for both players. They shouldn't be easily defendable at all.
I think in general, Peter just doesn't like Watchtowers in not in twos. I don't think he's a super huge fan of them. I know he really likes 7-3s and 4s, but I don't think he's in I think they're not as good in general in twos.
Yeah, in general, no, they're not. But I still think there's a place for them. And if
No, I agree there's a place. I just think there's certain compositions I think in twos that are. Well, you know how it is with the Terrans, especially once you get enough sensor towers and stuff on these maps, that the Watchtowers are kind of irrelevant.
Yeah. Okay, let's jump to Hexagon. This one, who made it, I believe? Oh, this one. Teammate was very happy because he finally got. You can obviously see that he's very much in love with the TLM with map contest judges, rigging all the contests. So he just literally type out rigged. It's a joke,
he
by
made
the way.
TT map. I appreciated TT. I actually played on it many times. It's a good map.
Which one?
TT was in the he made like a special map for us with all the abomination things that were in pro. I might have been even so not rigged is my whole point.
I think this is. There's a
1 second.
good balance and hard to defend basis. The only thing that I don't like is you see basically the 6 o'clock base with the brown beige ground. I don't think the left ramp should be an up ramp. I think it should be level with the rest, in my opinion, or it should be a down ramp. It just makes it too easy to get.
Oh, did I lost the connection to you guys? Peter, can you hear me?
Oh, I see it.
Ah, okay. Yeah, no, I got worried there for a second. But things are fine. Negative or nice username. Can you guys hear? Can you guys, there hasn't been any drop to the stream?
No, it's fine.
been pretty solid.
Oh, that's interesting. Then
Is
why
that nice
why?
username?
Yeah, he's just like spying on us.
Yeah, he's deafened though.
Okay, so for this one, any comment? Because Mysen had some comments regarding the mineral lines in the center. I personally really like them.
Yeah, I just thought it's to me. I don't know. It feels like I don't know how much it's actually gonna do anything.
It's unnecessary.
In comparison, because the center is so open. This area
yeah,
is
so the way I just look at it is so I think the amount of games where a terrain feature like that would matter are very small percent in team games.
Mm-hmm.
I think yeah. So I feel like an inordinate amount of team games and in phases of the game where so as this game goes long, so an issue with this is the way the expansion patterns are, is one person's so say you're the top left team, one person's going to be expanding generally to the right, so they're going to be expanding horizontally, and the other's going to have to expand vertically, and so it's going to create this kind of two different people playing 1v1 dynamics.
Basically.
And so I think the one downside with a map like this is the middle of the map is really kind of de-incentivized. Like there's no reason to really go there because you're just kind of fighting each other on the different because you're the base of contention are all on the side. There's nothing super worth fighting over in the middle of the map.
Yeah, we had other couple maps that also faced that issue that they didn't really have like any feature such as a base that will give a point of contention. But it was just in the lesser cases. It was just like a couple of them. Okay, let's.
Mizen, help me remember. What was the game Sue played against him where he put a proxy hatch by the mineral wall at the third bit? Was it Thunderbird? Wait, I have to check now. I'm sorry.
I don't think I watched StarCraft when Thunderbird was in the ladder.
I don't remember. Where is it?
I just want to give a shout out to Ziggurat of Ur for still getting the kind of wrong joke about apotheosis all these years later. Respect.
Yes, it was Thunderbird. That's the one. Yeah, that kind of mineral wall I think is perfectly okay.
Yeah, but Thunderbird had like a very specific. Well, it took like a lot of quality assurance to like get the Thunderbird mineral wall actually working, and then teammate came
Ruins
and
the chances to fight for the middle, in my opinion. Why should you have workers out there in the middle? I don't think it adds anything.
yeah, I mean
That
it's
is
a
my
different
thing.
kind of wall. Like for this one in particular, I just like it because it's not rocks.
Sure,
Probably,
but there don't need to be anything there.
Yeah, I think this
Um,
map is just interesting because I think the worst part of the map is the middle. I don't know why you would really spend too much time trying to go there if you're playing games in this map. I'm not a big fan of the ring of I guess vision blockers either, but
I think
Yeah,
that
me
I think the
neither.
ring
They're
will work like very well in comparison to
yes.
the mineral lines in here. Yeah, guys, do you have any other comments regarding 2v2 maps, which were the ones that we were focusing mostly on?
Jacob's
Panzer,
Summit.
Skyperinia, Jacobs. We
That is
didn't
by
well,
far one of the
really.
best maps I have seen in a long time. Other than Emerald City and Fields of Death and Sludge City, it is probably the best map to ever hit the to hit SE2 and 2v2, in my opinion.
not a it's okay.
I think it's amazing.
Amazing. The center to me,
Yeah,
like
Ryzen with it. It's okay.
the center to me, like it speaks in a very like emotional level. Like I love like these very tight chokes, like so.
Yep, me too. And the edges of the map, I love that you can't go, right in the middle. I love that you can't just go across to the right or left side. You have to actually go back or forward.
Yeah, basically. And these bases are like pockets of bases themselves. It's like not that you can go lanes. You as you were saying, you need to go like you need to think before moving your army a little bit. With openness. Not
So a difference to compare this to Enzyme, just the idea that I think the third bases on this map are everything is being funneled into this I guess you could say is a similarly open area, but I think in practice it would be easier to defend, just because of the way you kind of get. I feel like Enzyme is you're getting pulled further and further away from your main base, with your third base. But on this map, you're defending one area for your first
Which
three
one's
bases.
Enzyme again? Can we take it up on the screen?
Like this map is one where your fourth base is the map that's your fourth bases are the ones that are far away from your main, but those first three are just defending this one area. So yes, it's more wide open, but Enzyme is kind of like the issue is the number, right? Enzyme has 5 that are in like a kind of cluster, and then 1 off to the side, whereas this map has 6 that are kind of self-contained, but Enzyme has the one jutting off to the side versus having 6 that are all kind of occupying the same space. Just the fact that Enzyme has that one jutting off to the end that's kind of separated by the terrain feature, it creates that one base is very isolated compared to the other 5.
And just to add, the reason that the ramp, if you look at the 6 o'clock base, yeah, exactly that one. The reason that the ramp above it actually is okay on this map, but not the other one, is because it's an angled ramp and there's a choke right before it, so you don't have this massive space to set up a siege or split marines or anything like that. And also, you're pretty close to your natural bases, and you can put, you can creep spread, you can have spore crawlers, you can do anything to defend. It's actually a defendable area. If the ramp was coming in at a 90-degree angle to the right, it would not be okay. But as of this, it is perfectly fine.
Okay, now let's go to the bad side of things. Let's go deep into the ones and into the zeros. Destined, where are you? Because we already went through the top 5, basically. Okay, this one is just above Bloodbath in terms of ratings.
I mean, yeah,
So
this joke, right?
I want everyone to imagine your everyday ladder experience of whenever players spawn differently. All these maps, whether it's 2s, 3, 4s, that you're just gonna get a 2v1 or a 3v1 or a 4v1, and one person is just gonna get gangbanged out of the game because they're too far away. Or their teammate cannot actually defend. And like if you're a Protoss player, like say you're ZP, like what is your Protoss ally going to be able to do to help the Zerg who's being Reapered and Ling flooded or Ling Hellions? He can't get to his opponent and do anything. I mean, to his teammate to help defend.
Yep. There is like not much else to say besides, like, for example, the center being like completely open. But that's just like a flavor thing, I guess. Also, is there like even a 4th base? No, not really. Okay, this one is 32-bit, which also got like basically dead last on the.
Whoever named it 32-bit was screwed from the beginning. 16-bit. This map is worse. Look at all the nice free bases you get in the back. And so yeah, you have like 5 bases behind. I guess each person gets there's 5 behind like no chokes, but also the players are super far away. So it's like this weird, we get the worst of both worlds.
Yeah, Salty Tears. That's another.
Yeah, we should look at Tiger Stripes because I feel Agatot has mentioned it multiple times.
Tiger.
Myzen, he wants us to share the Google Docs. Can I post the link? Or?
No. It is forbidden.
Okay.
No,
that's why I'm checking.
They are peasants. Okay, they are kind people, but they are still peasants. So
yeah, we're giving you feedback right now. That's why we're doing this little stream.
Yep, we still need to like discuss
This is not
we
liquid
need
where
the
thanks
document.
to your
The
laws-
document needs to be like discussed heavily, because I know that as soon as for it to get on record, as soon as we release the document, I know that every single one of you will start annoying the judges, saying, why did this got like 4.2 instead of 4.3 when the previous map had like 4 point, etc, 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 and you will start annoying every single person ever, and we will
This is
want.
not Team Liquid where thanks to EU laws you can request your mod. We will not be sharing notes made.
Oh, your congressman.
But yeah, if you go on teamliquid.net, you
Oh
can
my
request
God.
to see the mod notes thanks to EU law changes that was in 2018. So feel free to go ahead and see what the mods are saying about you.
Oh no, Myson, I screwed up. Today is Bastille Day.
Oh no.
Oh no, yeah, and they are like in a communist mood these days. So, oof.
Okay. I
Yeah.
think the
Oh, yeah.
biggest problem with this map
Spooky
is
things.
that if you look at the ramp by the naturals and then the ramp like in mid, they're so close together, and it's too easy to attack from mid. You can siege tanks behind the little ramp, and the ramp itself behind it is so open, and it's so easy to set up an attack, and it's so hard to defend because the bases are like they're just too far from the ramp, and they're so open and broad.
Yeah, let me zoom in into this.
That's my issue with it. What other maps have you made, Cantu?
I think so. One interesting thing about just like Tiger Stripes is so aside from any big positives and upsides, to me it's like a very just medium map. I don't think there's yeah, it just when you have it's just a very medium map. I can't see like what would I get really excited about this map is doing interestingly. I think it would be fine. You'd get a lot of just fine
Myson,
experiences.
it has got slowing zones.
Ooh, I like that.
I actually want again. I liked the fast zones that the guy used on Intergalactic on that one map because it was really good for defending. I thought that was really cute in allowing the different like you allowing because yeah, your bases were kind of spread out, but when you have the fast zones, it was a little easier to get from place to place. So that was cool.
What
I'm not
intergalactic
totally
uses.
anti-fun. Fast zones, slow zones are
Still,
cool.
intergalactic is interesting. So let's go jump right into it. Is this one, yeah?
Yeah, so actually this is kind of interesting the way so your third bases are kind of farish away, which generally I'm like super against and I think is fair, but the fast zones make you can kind of get to your third bases a bit easier, which is just interesting use of the things because I think the fast zones are much better defensively on this map than anything else.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, fully agreed.
So always good to see them being used in interesting ways.
To me, from just a sheer map making perspective, I don't find this interesting at all. Like I know 100% that from a player's perspective, it is sick. But from a map maker's, I will just make like this entire map like 20% smaller instead of just like
This
adding
map is. I mean, I find it hard to get. It looks cool on the surface, and you think, "Wow, this could produce interesting games." But then you take a hard look at it, and like,
yeah,
it's
that
not
kind of stuff.
actually anything special. Mid is really hard to fight for, and if you move your mouse like a little up to the left. Zoom in. Yeah, that ramp. You see that ramp? It's the exact same situation. That base, you destroy the rocks, you siege up that base, you can never do anything. And then you can siege up the third base, the lone third base from there.
Yeah.
No, the other one, the top right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
the middle one. Yes. Yeah, that one. So those two, you don't stand a chance defending anything of that if your opponents decide to attack. And if they have any brains. Yeah.
I'm not sure if it will show
the reach. Yeah, it does. And then
I
you
just
push
wanna
in with
say
bio and more tanks.
On ladder, and anybody vetoed it before playing exactly one game on it. Like you play one game on this map and be like, "Wow, that was my good one game for this map, and now I'm just gonna veto it.
Yes.
But you would enjoy that one game for like I was having a lot of fun just enjoying the fast movement stuff. And I was like, okay, well that was good. We're
The
done. with it.
Zerglings and the carriers.
Yeah, that way. Okay, well good. That was an experience.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's much else to say about this. It's just not that exciting, and it falls short on a lot of other aspects, like what I just mentioned by the ramps. Also, why can you siege the 9 o'clock base from the gold base? Why?
The 9
Go down? You can siege those bases from the gold. That is horseshit. I'm sorry, but that should never be possible. Never.
There you go, guys.
Yeah,
The
no.
judges love when you can siege your bases from the high ground. Do it more.
Yeah, no, this is just not good.
I too am a fan of carriers in fast zones.
I have lost the siege tanks plenty of times. Yes, I have, but I'm yeah. You can make fun of me for that. That's perfectly okay.
Oh yeah, no, I got tripped out with Golden Aura, which is this one. More than anything, with these different entrances. Do you remember the going over
I
this,
haven't even seen
Mycen?
this.
Yeah, no,
I
it won't surprise me because you guys bypass it. But
Wait, did I even rate this? Let me see. Golden. Is it even here? Dude, it's not on the
yeah.
list. No, it's not even on the list.
No, yeah, it is.
Oh wait, it is. It is.
Yeah,
oh,
I knew.
I don't
I gave
remember
it a
what my
bad
rating
score
was.
because this map is trying to win the contest for most bases behind one choke.
It is getting
Yeah.
there. It is getting there. Yeah.
Are those gold mineral patches or are they just terrain? No,
They're
terrain,
just
right?
terrain. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we go to Sumi real quick? To see what Panzerman is asking about?
To which one? Sumi?
Sumi. Yeah, Sumi.
Ah, yeah. We already went through it.
Yeah, but he's asking a question about it, and I don't remember the map
Well, removing
really
the
well.
ramp in front of the low. Ah, yeah. Removing this ramp. The one that we were talking about earlier.
Yes, yeah, that would make a huge difference. Massive difference. That would make the map so much more playable. That would. Oh my god! I love you for even asking the question. Oh, you're thinking like that. Oh, I thought just remove the rocks and the ramp.
So
Can't do.
yeah, I know. But
Okay.
I want to show him to.
Can't do hate cycles.
Yeah, no. Please. Oh boy. Okay, what did you do with the textures? Yeah, no. For 2v2, I really hate them. For 1 versus 1, please give me more. But for 2
Fuck
versus
Zerg,
2,
man. Yes, and then more.
a little bit more in here.
No, by the rocks. There shouldn't be any rocks there.
Ah,
Just put a wall.
okay.
Yes, like this. This is much better. Or you keep the
Or keep the
high
rocks.
ground, but just remove the ramp.
I had an interesting question about
No.
Okay, carry on, Mycen.
Sorry, go on.
Well, I was just curious because the map has the kind of very distinctive decal on all the ramps, and I was just curious if there was any thought as to why it's shaped like so that it's universally
sperm.
like the bigger shape on the bottom, and that I know was there any debate on that fact, or is it like that? It just interested me because it's the thing that stuck out the most when I looked at the picture.
Yeah, it is very distinctive. It's a decal, he says.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah, but
blood
does
stain.
it mean anything? Oh, it's blood?
Sperm.
Yeah, but Panzerman, if you look at the map now, now that we've deleted that ramp, this becomes much more defendable. Yes, you can still siege it from there, and I would like to see the high ground not so far in for the base, like to seed it a bit. But this is so much better for the map, and now I can actually imagine. Yeah, exactly like this. Now I can actually imagine playing this and
enjoying it.
I think this could. I think I would give this a much better rating now with these ramps.
I never understood with this map why the bases on the side are so congested. Like once you get like anytime you're actually going to that area, it's going to be so late in the game. I don't understand why everything's just so congested. When to get to that point, you're getting like maxed out armies and stuff. It just seems so difficult to do anything.
I think it's fine actually, because of that, because of the fact that you just said, like having those spaces so congested, it makes you less inclined to take your entire army there and just defend it with a small chunk. So it's more multitask based.
Or just have an arm, or just some armies are naturally better at as you know, on the congested areas. Like the way that map would be is just so friendly to air units as the game goes on. Like any large army that takes up a lot of space on the physically a lot of space on the ground is just going to have such difficult time engaging into anything in the sides of the maps. And there's like 4 bases over there, so it seems just to me not ideal.
Okay, do you guys want to jump to Oblivion Awaits? I believe that is a 3 versus 3. Ah, no, it's 2 versus 2.
I really want to see that. The main's being siegeable. Wait, don't go yet.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'll just
1
say as a
second.
rule, I personally do not, in team games, I don't think maps like mains being siegeable is a very huge deal, because you have to get through so much stuff and so many, like 2 players of units to get to somebody's main, to get there with siege tanks. It's to me it's largely impractical.
Yeah, this map is also really fucking big.
Like if the guy gets that close to your, base, your first 2 bases with siege tanks, you're probably lost either way, right?
By that
Yes.
point, yeah. Yeah, and by the way, it's actually like really big for the other map makers. Like gameplay wise, it's you really notice the size of it. Like,
Well, yeah, I will say like the just 1 and 2s, how the accessibility of your opponent to your main bases is so different, just because you have to think like one of your 2 defending players could just have a million Zerglings. And so how are you realistically going to like punish that area? You know what I mean? It's not as easy to exploit when when the way compositions work in 2v2, where you can really cover for each other, and create, like, it's very hard to exploit areas like that early in the game, as opposed to maybe something in 1v1 where you can do a proxy factory and you have your whatever already out there really fast. It's not really feasible in 2v2.
You're gonna call me crazy, or you're gonna call me like that I'm bluffing, but I'm looking at this map right now, and I'm thinking, well, I want to play this now that you've removed the ramp going down into that base. This looks so fun, honestly, and
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
the situations of Team Lego Map Contest of the team maps that not having the iteration zone, and that's something that we will 100% fix. That if we can't fix it, we will just start doing actual editing on our end. If we can't fix it schedule wise.
yeah,
Well, the first one was honestly, if there, I'm just gonna be a negative Nancy here. With I think the first map contest, we realized right away that we needed an iteration phase, and
Yeah,
they're not one.
but
So
in
everyone,
that case, it's like the schedule is handled like several layers above us, so
oh
it's
yeah, I
not
know.
something that we can go ahead and
And it's
change.
unfortunate because there are a lot of times in these team maps where, yeah, I think there are things that could be that could be bettered with fairly simple fixes, but just not possible. And there are a
Yeah.
lot of things you load up a game in 2s and you're like, oh well, this space is just not, this is a problem, or whatever feature is an issue. But it's unfortunate with the team contest the way it's structured that you don't get a chance to fix those
Yeah,
things.
and though watch out, because the iteration period is like a huge crunch. We need to go like one by one of the maps and making notes of every single map that is submitted in order to forward like potential changes and problems the map has. So it's a lot of work. But
it takes a lot
we'll
of time,
see.
especially when you want to test them.
Yeah, and I can tell you that from the 1 versus 1s is like problematic, and for the team ones it will be like very much an issue. But we'll see what we can do.
Oh, yeah.
We'll most certainly see what we can do, because it's I don't like to cut maps for like random reasons. This one is because the third base are too far.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah. I like the
That's it.
aesthetic plot here. I like the colors, but yeah, the six base, you have to think of it like there's 5 bases that are, or I guess there's 4, and then
Yeah,
there's these
these
other
ones.
ones off the side are just so far away. Like, how are you really supposed to get to defend
An
that?
easy fix for this map would be to make those bases lower down on the map and then have a ramp from the natural and make the naturals be more oriented towards the mains. It would be a really easy fix. Yeah, if you rotate it, yeah, exactly like that, and then you have a ramp from the naturals instead. Would make it much easier.
Yep.
Yeah, just like imagine trying to move out to defend that third base. So like, you just feel like you're losing.
Yeah, it's painful. It is painful.
Also, it should be noticed, yeah, like exactly the PT teams, like yeah, like you're okay. I'm just gonna go walk out in this huge flat area against
Yeah.
a million Zerglings.
Yeah,
You
this is-
can't park at the top of the ramp. It is very far. It's not the fact. It's not so much the distance, honestly. It's more about the fact that you have to go around so much stuff.
And I want to just for to note. So a big issue with these things is so Protoss to early game you kind of have to open 2-gate Stalker against a lot of things, right, Snowy?
Yeah, either 2-gate Stalker, 2-gate Adept, or 2-gate Stalker Sentry.
So yeah, the two, but so your 2-gate opener is like your safe thing because a lot of the link flood issues. So like a unit like a Stalker, as this map is currently composed, like imagine anyone
Yeah.
who plays, like I'm gonna walk like 4 Stalkers out, and it's just like it's just too big of a space. There's real, it's just you're just gonna lose your army. You're never gonna
You get
be
caught by links. There's nothing you can do. It's so far.
Yeah, so
What does it take from the natural to the third with the original ramp layout? It'd probably take like a solid 10 to 15 seconds, right?
yeah,
That is
it
way
was it
takes
was
long enough
insane. With the slow roaches, it was painful to
Yeah.
just move them.
Yeah, just like
Yeah.
roaches, stalkers, anything that can be easily surrounded and doesn't fight well versus a lot of. So yeah, a lot. That's an issue of like just team games in general. Like the presence of Ling floods like warps early game composition so much, and so you have to keep that in mind when you're making these maps. It's just the Protoss has a difficult time kind of maneuvering, and so yeah, if you say you're like a a PP team, against Zerg floods early, a third base like that, it's just too far away.
Imagine, okay, can't do. Imagine you orient the third base down and below the ramp. Like, so just have it more down to the bottom of the map. Yeah,
Something
exactly like
this.
that. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, extend it.
At the moment, it's just a bit of issues because I don't want to like start fiddling too much with this, but I want to see if there is like another cardinal base that I can just copy paste without needing to worry about it. Okay, can you guys hear me? Yeah. Maybe not. That will suck. Did I become disconnected? Nope. That's strange. Maybe it will reconnect.
Because you're really, really bad at defending like the furthest away things. And the more you're stretching these teams, it makes like mid games very difficult for certain races combos.
Yeah, Discord disconnected in this bit. Apologies to the guys in the video because it will get cut instantly. But I'll see what we can do. Yeah, I can hear you guys a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep, Myson. Yep, I can hear you. Don't worry about the recordings because the recording is just ongoing, so it will just lose your voice and everything. There won't be like any delays on it.
I mean, what do you mean by the third base can't be even closer? I'm not saying it should. I'm just saying that you can have it. You can have it closer. Okay, no. What I mean is, sorry. What I mean is, the closer you have the third to the natural, the more open space around the third is okay. If it's really far, it has to be super choky and easily defendable. That's what I mean. I expressed myself poorly. Sorry.
And I think a good example of that was how it didn't, like, what you're describing is the conjoined elements thing, where the thirds are harder to take, but you can, but once you get them, you get them. Yeah. But I mean, as someone who plays Durgan teams, I just generally think, like, just give people, give teams their 6 spaces to work with.
Yes, for sure.
There is a in-base gold also.
Oh,
So it's-
in-base golds are actually an interesting thing to in teams they're kind of weird how they function, because I don't think in-base golds are at all balanced in teams as far as how they affect the races. I don't know. I don't remember if Snowy reminds me of Snowy might remember magma mines.
Yes.
So yeah, if you were a Protoss and you just instantly went across the map and blocked that gold, like, the Zerg on the other team was like, well, that's pretty much game. We just lose. It was so horribly
sounds
bad.
fun.
If you got
Sounds
blocked.
so fun.
Let me look up the map again just to refresh my memory of Magma Mines.
Magma
Oh
Mines
yeah,
was such a
fuck this map,
disaster.
dude.
It was
Fuck this
it was
map.
such a split game disaster, that map, and the Protoss could just block your gold base, and you'd be like, oh my god,
This
my
was the
life is
bane of my
over.
existence, I swear.
I beat
Jesus.
Peter on this. I beat Peter and Grunt on that map, where I just made only drones and swarm hosts. That was my composition, and my teammate was on, like, Broodlord Corruptor. I was just on, like, 50 swarm hosts against TT.
Oh yeah. Well, it is what it is. Okay, let's go. Do you guys have a request for, like, 3 versus 3 maps? Superhumans, Caipirinha, Negative.
It says Valley of Bones, please.
Valley of
That's a 2v2 map, though.
Yeah, no,
I
that's
think.
illegal. That's
Oh, it is
absolutely
3v3.
illegal. No, yeah,
It's
it's 2v2.
3v3. Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, it's at
He's
least
trolling
on
me.
my 2v2 folder, so yeah, 2v2. Yeah, this one will be
Killer
the
Smile,
the last 2v2. Because
Valley
we
of Bones,
need
which
to
one was
go over the
this?
other ones, and I don't want to, like, stretch you guys further. If you guys want to do, like, a 4-hour stream, that's fine. I have, like, 2 terabytes to record any video
I've got time.
you guys want.
First of all, with this map, that gold base needs to go. That gold base should not be there. That's
I do wonder if the sensible thing to do is, like, I was curious about, like, mining from both sides of it. That's what cracked me up
Yeah.
with this gold base.
Yes. I feel like that's also just a winner's base. You can never take that, even in an equal spot. You can only take that if you're already winning.
That's
Yeah.
just like a great, like, I'm on Sky. I have my Sky Toss. I have my Air Mech Army, and I'm just gonna enjoy
Yeah.
taking this gold base in addition to,
I know, right? Yeah, it's
all it is.
totally unnecessary. And also, here's a perfect example of so you see the 6 o'clock bases? Those are easier for the enemy to take than they are for you to take.
Yeah, it's actually pretty
Literally, they're untakeable. You cannot
Yeah.
take those bases.
Rotational.
Yeah, you can't get to them. The walk to defend those bases would be so impossible.
There needs to be the ramp needs to be closer to the natural again if you want to take those, and it can't be 2 ramps going into them that are both high grounds. It's just not feasible at all. I think Maizen will agree with me. I'm mostly saying the same things, but they apply to all the maps, I feel like.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I
it
thought
is just the same repeating issues.
Yes.
And about the Newland backs, all those issues. I think a lot of those, there were a lot of maps that had players spawning, like, players expanding in very different ways. By that I mean, one player's going left, one's going right on Newland, for example. And yeah, you just how many of those maps do you really want in a pool? I think not a million of them. So some are just pretty medium, like Newland's pretty medium or whatever. So it suffers just because of the way it's can only I think you only want so many of those bases because they're much worse for RT than they are for AT. Like you're gonna play games of random team on those kind of maps where you just don't interact with your teammate at all, and you just both go on your separate ways and you fight, and one of you loses, and you like never participate in it, and you just lose because you get 2v1'd after.
I wanted to ask about Neuland.
Oh, you mean that you just can't walk there instead of a base? Okay, yeah. I think it's okay to leave that space open. But what I would do instead, this is pretty much the same thing we said about Oblivion Awaits. But you see the first ramp out of the, if you look at the bottom right spawns. So the natural to the left, take that ramp and lead it to the 6 o'clock bases instead, and remove the ramp right above the 6 o'clock bases, and then make the 7 o'clock bases equal level with the rest. That would make it very doable.
I was trying to think like what is late game as this map is now, like what does it even look like, because you can't really prevent your enemy from expanding, right? You're kind of just yeah, like because like you said, there's no bases you really fight over. As the game goes longer and longer, you'd expand north and south, the two teams. One team goes up, one team goes down, and just yeah, like what is the eventual point of contention on this map? And it was very unclear to me.
Yeah, lack of central bases beyond just the gold that were removed now. Okay.
And yeah, it is so weird that there are two bases for each team that are like a stone's throw away from their mains. They just can never take in the course of a game. They'll just never take them. Very strange.
Okay, I really want to do like one last bit of the ones that got like very, very low rating. Under a Serpent's Sun. And after that,
yeah.
And after that one, we will be going to a quick review of like 3v3 and 4v4s. This one.
Okay, what? No,
I'm gonna
get
say,
away from me.
There's some very funny things on this map. I'm gonna be an aesthetic mean guy and be like, I could not in any good consciousness put this on ladder. A lot of it just
That's
because
so. To me, it looks beautiful. I love this like high contrast, like high saturation things. To me, it looks beautiful. It is.
I don't. The mineral wall with the line of sight blocker and the two ramps is like the funniest thing I've ever seen on a base. It's just so.
Was this actually like a contender? Because that ramp that you're zooming in on is just.
That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen on a map.
Yes, it is. That is hilarious.
Yep.
I cannot believe this is a thing.
Listen, I did this in Wings of Liberty beta. On my first maps, the first thing that I did was stuff like this. And it was amazing. I enjoyed it very much back then in 2010. But go ahead, hammer it out. What is the biggest problem under the Serpent Sun? To me, at least, it is. Oh, hopefully it didn't go down. Please stream, be alive.
There's just no real upside. A problem with this map is just there's no like really good thing about it. It's just
Yeah, this is just an arcade map. This is literally a probes versus zealots map. Literally.
If you were to play like a Terran versus Zerg versus Zerg on this one, what will be the biggest issue? Because I know I want to ask you because I know that it's like chaotic, but that's precisely the idea. Like, what are the big key points that make this a no-no? For example, is the lack of, for example, wallable
No, that's
or the
fine.
double
The ramp's
ramps?
fine, except the main ramp. But the map itself is so open and so it's really repetitive, honestly, and I don't think it'll make for fun games. And if you look at outside like the third bases, there's so much open space
In
everywhere,
here,
and
yeah.
you
Also,
just can't expand.
So there, it's funny because a lot of these maps that suffer from like it's really hard to expand. But another funny thing about this map is the way the map is kind of segmented, like its movement is kind of weird for ground armies. So there's like so many maps that are it's just strange in that like movement for an air army would be so much better on this map than a ground army. But at the same time, like how are you actually defending your bases and stuff? It has so many like bad, awkward things going for it at the same that are just so contradictory to one another.
It wouldn't change if you made the chokes half the width. No, it'd just be not a good map still.
I just wanted
yeah.
to also the choking stuff off in teams is very awkward because 4 armies takes up a lot of space on the map. Remember that's another just important thing to keep in mind is like whenever you're designing areas on a team map, you have to remember there's 4 armies. That could be like 400 supply of army units, fighting in one space. Like how reasonably you need a big enough space a lot of the time.
Also, one thing, imagine there's a maxed out carrier army right where your mouse is, and in comes an army of both 2 random armies. Let's say there's 20 carriers. You can't run away if you're in those choke points and survive.
Basically.
And you can't kill anything either. There's nothing you can do. And on any other map, there's somewhere you can retreat. But here, nope. There's nowhere.
What was it? I think it was Shield of Ire. So I don't know what the name. I'll look it up. But it was an issue of like when you have these really that was the best example of like a 2v2 map where the spaces were so narrow that you could never actually attack because there wasn't enough room for 4 armies to do stuff.
Let me see. Shield of Ire.
I'll link it in the thing because I remember when I find it
it's a GSL map. Definitely Shield. I can't find it for some reason. No, I don't know. I can't find it.
Give me 1 second. I'm looking it up. Because yes, where is it? So it's Legacy Void. There it is. Seeds of Ire. Yeah, so this is like we have these like middle of the map areas that when you played on this map, you couldn't actually move ground armies through the middle because it was just
you could not
narrow. There was no space.
I remember this one.
Anything. So just to keep in mind is like you I mean there could potentially you need more space for more units to do stuff in. Otherwise, you're just super incentivizing people to make air units.
Just to be clear, this is a Blizzard map.
Yeah,
no, I know.
And it is inspired by the Superhuman map, I believe.
Yes, just as me just going on a rant about needing space to do things in team games.
This map
There's
is
more players on the map.
Fucking
like I've played for like you because there are sometimes you'll get these. It happens most in 4v4 where literally there's 8 people fighting in like one area. Like you need a lot of space for that many units. The more players you're adding to a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we can all agree that map was a plague on the 2v2 community while it was in the pool.
Yeah, this was
a solid veto for me, even as a Protoss player.
Yeah, I mean, this was like, you just knew what you were getting into with this map for sure.
You just improved this map quite a bit.
Okay, let's go to the 3v3s. And after that, we'll just quickly pass over the 4v4s, and that will be basically it. Unless you guys, of course, want to like ask, do like a question and answer. But as stated, I don't want to keep you like longer than if you, for example, need to make yourself a coffee or something. Or maybe we can cut it out and then we can continue later after like a rest of like 15 minutes so everybody can go to the bathroom, etc. So unlike the 2v2 maps, we didn't play test the 3v3 ones because the logistics of doing so is like problematic. But
Can't get enough players.
yeah, for this one, for example, this came out the very first one, and even then there were like some quirky issues with it. So Maisen or
So my disclaimer about 3v3 and 4v4 maps, I think these maps are inevitably going to be like, how do I phrase this?
Carcaffle.
It's like I'm not sure there's such thing as a very good 3 or 4 player map, just because I think anyone who's played enough 3s or 4s will understand like just the format is not very good. In StarCraft to have that many people on the same team, and I think so. Like this map has like the least number of objectionable things to me. I think everybody is gonna get 2 bases. Everyone can defend 3s to get 3 bases together. You get 4. Like
Yep.
To me, this map was like the definition of just like a very seems like reasonable stuff can happen here, and games aren't going to be ended with some kind of ridiculous cheese, or expansions aren't too difficult to take or too easy to take. It's hard to make. I don't envy anyone who tries to make a map for 3s or 4s. It's just not really good.
Can you zoom in on the mid area? Are those open ramps or no?
No.
Okay,
It is everything is flat in here, and there is
Okay.
the salnaga, and all the plants and flowers are actually with pathing blockers.
Yeah. Okay.
This is the
All right, yeah,
version. This is the version without quality assurance. So this is one of the maps that didn't have like any pathing whatsoever. So I had to do everything while working
Oh,
on
you
it.
did this.
No, I clean it up. I just clean it up.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, this looks fine to me. He says he finished the pathing after the deadline.
Yeah, I know that's just illegal. So don't pay mind to him.
But yeah, so that's
I did the map. Okay, I finish it up. Okay, carry on.
So yeah, just to me, this was like a least objectionable. Like there's a lot of 3v3 maps where you open them up and you're just like, this does not work for immediate reason, So yeah, Treasure Island, respect to the guy who put the skull there. Not as good as the person who made the American flag map in the last map contest. That was a great 3v3 map. I was a big fan of the Stars and Stripe. I think it was 1776 it was called. Great map. Sad it never got to ladder.
Oh boy. Yeah, there are some jewels out there, like, and they appear and disappear.
I should have submitted it again. I had the space for it.
Yeah, I
Damn
would
it.
have loved it. Great map. Big fan.
Okay.
That map, unironic, just as that map, the people were just too separated. Was the issue. I sadly the base layout was too rough. We couldn't just push it through on American pride.
Listen, I will go like full Allah Akbar on that map. Okay, but anyhow, we have in a more politically correct. Let's just pick on the weakest map of the 3v3 multicellular. This one got the lowest rating of them all, basically, and it's at the end of the day, is I believe like the same issue that it had on the 2 versus 2 one, because it's just huge.
Yeah, there's nothing good going on in this map. It's like the collection of like worst hits. You're separating the players. You're
with
wide open.
minerals.
It's very. I don't know what's going on here.
Oh, things froze.
Yeah, I think 3s especially, like 3s and 4s, the teams need to be able to help each other, and the harder you make it on teams to defend each other, just it's leading to one guy just getting destroyed at the beginning.
The bases are not connected, right? No.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
There's mineral.
Yeah,
No.
that's a huge thing. Like you said, you need to be able to help your teammates, especially in 3s and 4s, just because how many rushes there are. I don't think there's any 3 or 4 map that should be non-connected
bases.
bases. You
Yeah.
should all spawn together, basically.
Ling
Okay.
Hellion, man, it's the nightmare.
This one, Serenity, and it got some comments. Yeah, from you, Snowy. Zero, so bad.
Sorry, Jesus.
This is the one.
Sorry. I mean, I was angry when I saw this just because of the well, everything.
No, it's okay, dude. Go ham on them. Just murder them. They will be welcome and will
Like,
ask
what
for
is
more.
that? What is that stupid base close to one of the main bases with a wall between it? No, the
This
left
one?
wall and the base above it.
The
No,
left wall.
to the right. To the
This
right.
one.
No,
Dude, to the right. Tell me, be a clock.
Further right. Okay, 5 o'clock. The base
Uh-huh.
diagonal. 5 o'clock.
Oh,
Yes, 5 o'clock.
yeah.
5 o'clock.
Sorry.
No, the right one. Yes, the wall. Right. You see
It
the
took
wall
a while. Ah,
splitting
yes.
the bases. I hate that. That should not be a thing. And also, that base is just poorly positioned. It's horrible.
All of this section.
There are
It
too
is
many
creative.
ramps between the bases. It's creative, but it's
Snowy, you are just mad
not
because this
good.
is creative.
Yes, I hate creativity.
This is like great map for let's put like most of the team in one direction, make one guy go off and just be completely isolated at the start kind of issue.
Yeah, okay. Why is it bad? I'll heard is bad. It is because it is bad. Why is it bad?
There's not enough bases. There's not enough bases that you can actually
You
take.
make the thing pop up again where it shows where people are spawning because the numbers might help.
Yep.
For me to... Okay, yeah. So basically, what like 2 is expanding to the right, 6 is expanding to the right, and 4 is expanding to the left. So immediately you see this, I'm like, oh well, why is 4 just going way off, far away from his teammates? And it's just like I don't think 3v3 maps should ever force people to expand like that right away because one guy is just so far away from their teammates, just very difficult to help. I think there's so many different ramps that you're trying to block here with your opening buildings. It's just there's a lot of different ways in, and there's going to be weird pathing things where like somebody's getting attacked here and your units are going around and somebody accidentally has something closed, and it's just the bases the way they are is just so there's just going to be so many issues defending early.
Yeah, there is too much noise like in the gameplay. There are too many options, but at the same time, they are disjointed options. Like you are sending like the expansion patterns of one player goes to one direction, the expansion patterns of the others go in a completely different direction. And this
imagine you're like trying to help player number 4 expanding over in that corner, and then like somebody like I don't know. I think if one person had their like ramp closed with depots or whatever, and now your entire army is like, where does it even go? I have no idea if you can even get to that natural. This map, it just cracks me. I think anytime you have a map like this, there's just going to be so many issues of games in random team because a lot of people just queue random team, and like I don't know if a lot of you guys have played random teams in 3s and 4s, but like there's a lot of just infighting obviously happens, and map like this is going to create so many just losses, just people just not really, just to teams losing to themselves trying to defend basic stuff.
Okay, so what you're saying is that the development team will get mad at us if this map made it in, because they will.
People would not be happy about this. This would be an auto veto. You just would not want to get involved on maps in this games.
This is a map you don't want to play
in randoms, yeah, or at all.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. So like people have to remember the negative 0 does raise an interesting point though, is like I think one person, your openings I think are pretty set in teams of like what you can do. You're like Ling Hellion, you like one. If you're Zerg, you really have to make Lings or you die to Lings. If it's like there's like certain just rules that the matchup dynamics in 2s and 3s and stuff is different than it is in 1s because just the way it works.
Yeah, no, he's just interested regarding, for example, the arguments, because those are the foundational points with that the map makers need to understand in order to truly make like better team maps. You want the map to be dynamic, to have room for more than one playstyle. This one doesn't have that. And that is obviously after the metagame development has settled, you will end up. This is like a dozen station, but worst. This is like
Yes.
scrap station levels of
-0.
team
That's actually reasonable about talking about with 4s, because we'll get to after 3s. But there is I think I've settled after enough Legacy of the Void 4 maps. I've settled on a final position on what 4v4 maps have to be, sadly.
Okay, so let's jump. So negative. Let's jump to.
Well, Timmy had a question.
Cygnus Terminal.
It's a meme question about Cygnus Terminal, but we can indulge the guy. He made TT. He's a good dude.
I don't remember the.
He's
how
not
this
a good
looked.
dude. He's not a good dude. I know him. I know him.
He
all
made
too well.
TT. He did it for us.
Oh yes, this one.
Oh, it's this one, right?
Yeah, the same. Same thing. One
Same-
guy
same,
just
yeah.
isolated off, and his life's just going to be worse than everybody else's.
I'm not sure if it shows very well in the stream. Maybe because the textures and the craters alongside the edges are like very noisy. Maybe hopefully the compression like.
This is like the flooded city of where we just have like a tiny map in a big space. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Just from an aesthetic point of view, I'm saying it's very funny when that happens.
Player
Yes,
with a
he does share
subnet
a natural, but if, for example, if there's a fast Marine, Zergling, Siege Tank, anything, proxy gate, you can't help your teammate because you won't have a second base. You could wall on the low ground, but then that player can't really help his other teammate that he spawns with. It's unlikely that they'll get rushed on that single ramp, but they could. And it's not that far to go around if you have speedlings.
Also, remember the tools that the different armies have to help each other. I
Siege
mentioned
tanks.
before the 2-gate thing. Like Protoss I'm trying to help my teammate, and the only way I can help him is by walking 4 stalkers on a huge long walk to go, where they're just going to get assaulted by a flood of Zerglings at any point. It's yeah.
Yeah.
It needs to be like certain races are just have very difficult time helping, have a very hard time helping an isolated person.
For example, if the base to the right of the start location 003 was a third main base and it was on the high ground, this map would probably be fine and be a contender, but split bases, they're just never okay.
What was the there was the 3v3 base that was like snowy. That was like the biggest example of just why you can't split people. I think you recall that one.
that was.
Which, was it a 2v2?
It was a 3v3. It was like a snow.
Oh, yes. I know that one, yes.
It was just like, yeah, there's certain, there's like an auto veto. I
Let me
can find it.
No, I'm looking.
Permafrost? I believe it might have been.
No. Abandoned Camp was fucking shit.
That was actually that was horrible. That was one of the worst ones yet. God.
This is a good example of wait, no, sorry. Never mind. I thought I looked at a different one. Backcountry is an interesting one. I thought it was a fun map in Heart of the Swarm, but in Legacy it was unplayable. You're thinking of Fields of Jasir, right, Maizen?
Yes, I am. Yeah, this is like
Yes.
Fields of this year. This was a good example of it. Well, we're kind of just what we're talking about. Like, this is like the worst case scenario.
Which for 2v2?
So just we're talking about people spawning like separately. Like this is you're gonna get maps like this like that aren't as bad as this. But we see this in the map contest and we're just like, yeah, this just doesn't. You're forcing one person to be too far away. And obviously this is like the worst case scenario. But imagine that this is as effectively in practice in a game as bad as some of the less immediately visually egregious just in practice in the games. It's going to play out the same way, even though it doesn't look as immediately horrible.
I am just content that I actually never played this when I didn't knew this map until now. I feel accomplished.
Was this the Music 7 that made it, or what?
Well, this is a Blizzard map.
No, yeah, it's
Don't
a
they
Blizzard
using it now?
Okay.
I love Blizzard, but they actually made Misty Swamp was a good 3v3 map they made because I would always just right away just 3 hatch and take 2 gold bases. It was miserable. It was awesome.
Fucking this map. I had
But yeah,
so
so anyway,
many
I
fun
Neil
games on
Williams.
this.
of our long rant about maps that we're just referencing in the past is I think ultimately what you can take away from this is that there's certain things in 3s and 4s that are just so make just maps unplayable. And so I think from a map making perspective, sadly, I think with 3s and 4s, your goal has to be just let's make something that's reasonable and safe. Otherwise, it's just not playable. And it's unfortunate that I think it's gotten to this point where, but that's 3s and 4s. You know, it's not really a competitive format.
I loved New Williamsburg. It was so fun back in the day.
Not fun.
I loved it because there was such a dynamic between fighting with air between the main bases, which you would do most of the games, and also your teammates or you or both would also be fighting at the edges of the map. I thought it was really fun as long as the skill levels were equal or well roughly equal. You had fun games on this map if you didn't lose to a build order loss.
Well, so this is another interesting thing to point out is so MMRs kind of get really odd in team games where like you kind of have like it's just very strange how it all kind of condenses and you have like these people who are at maybe like Masters 3 MMR in 3s and like some of them are like medium diamond, like low diamond players. It's just like strange how it works out. It's very odd. And yeah, so you say like everybody's equal skill. Like there's very rarely when you queue up these things does it feel like everybody's of equal skill in 3s and 4s.
Okay, I want to jump to Triptych.
Triptych.
I'm just unable to do English because I want to jump into this one because it got very close, but it didn't make it.
This is a very cool map. The layout of the look, it's really cool.
I need to look actually.
I'm not sure how to fit it in the camera. Okay, so there are the spawn positions.
Well, I should note when you say it got close, is it's numerically close to the top four.
Yeah,
Numerically close
not
to the top
score
five.
wise.
Score-wise, it is. You guys obviously can't see the scores, but there are 5 maps that have one cluster of scores, and then everything else is way below. And this map was the first of the group of the maps that is way below the rest. So Snowy might be able to defend this in some ways, but to me, this map was like the first of the rest.
No, I didn't really love it either. I know what I gave it, but
yeah, but you know what I mean.
more-
Right? Like, this is like the beginning of the end. If you like, as far as contests,
if you look at the bottom players, the player that spawns closest to the top, the base he can take is so easily attackable. It's just not viable at all.
like yeah, like it's a good example of like thinking like everybody's being pulled in all these different directions, but the one guy is going. It's not good when this happens.
Yeah. It's not.
So beyond that, it's just like awful.
Beyond that, it's not great either. The bases are too hard to defend. Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do to fight for mid because there's so many rocks, so you can only really fight on the
Yeah,
edges of the map,
basically.
and you still get cheesed. And yes, each player expands in a different direction, but because of the rocks of the edges, that isn't what makes this map bad. It's because you can't fight together as a team at all, in my opinion. You're forced to take 1v1 fights. And
I'm
Okay.
honest,
they're not good
this
fights.
is going to fit in the category of 90% of games. Obviously, nice stats. A large percent of games are either going to be ended rush or straight to air. You're going to have
Yes.
like no in between games on maps like these.
Both the bottom players could actually go straight air and hope that
Yeah, I
the
mean
one guy
that's
defends.
what happens, and this is obviously a danger. Like in threes, fours, whatever. Like you're gonna have a lot of things. They're just gonna maps are gonna be like, a we're either rushing or we're going straight to air, and that's kind of like unfortunate dynamic.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at Map Station. Cantor.
Yep, loading it up.
I have prepared my notes of anger towards this map. Don't worry. No, just kidding. I just hate it a lot. Again, you spawn
God.
so far away.
Yeah, well, given that it won't
I
show
mean,
up,
this is
like there is a 1 versus 1 split in the middle, and no player can exit it through the ground. And then there are the 2 players at each side. Let me just
it's an
go
interesting
ahead.
concept, but it's not. I think the concept could work on a map potentially. I'm struggling to see it, but I think it.
Why is
could.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, why is it a team map? It's just, yeah. I love that you're experimenting with new stuff and stuff like that, but this will not make it into the pool. Obviously, you cannot play with the team at all. There's an argument to be had that it's gonna be a 1v1 with your 2 other players feeding because the distances between those 4 players are so far. So if you just feed that one player and he goes like mass MMM or fucking Nidus or mass Blinkstalker, he'll win the 1v1 and then kill the others due to multitasking. Feeding work, you just send resources to your teammate.
Yeah, exactly. So this is something I personally don't do very much of this, but this is another thing to keep in mind in teams is that you can trade resources. So they're like feeds. You can literally just be like, yeah, like just somebody at the 5-minute mark like instantly gets like 2K gas and just makes like a million mutalisks and stuff like this. It's just it does actually happen. But yeah, like Ling, like one, like say you have like a Ling Protoss, like one guy going Ling and just feeding his Protoss teammate to make a million Phoenixes. That also happens a lot.
Anarchy coordinated it. It's not about coordinating. You just say, I'm gonna Blinkstalker all in, I will kill them for you, send me minerals. I've done it myself and they send me minerals. They do because look at the map. Why wouldn't they? There's a billion miles to the other players. They'll just send you resources and you'll kill them alone. You just ask them in the chat. It's nothing to do with coordination. This isn't Counter-Strike.
Also, I have an interesting. There's something I wanted to mention about threes map, so I'm going to pull up a example from a previous ladder to bring this up because I do think it's worth. Give me a second.
I just find it beautiful that we have mastered maps to such a degree that we can do like Michelangelo level maps, and now we are going into like a regression in time towards finding simplicity and horribleness within, but it's still beautiful. It is like what is the guy that knew how to draw like an infant? Yeah, it's called modern art. Exactly, Zacharias.
Abstract art. Yeah,
It's an
I mean, I
avant-garde.
love the idea of this map, and I do think that I would
The
enjoy
metaphor
playing
is
it on
self-evident.
occasion, but it just wouldn't work for team and for low levels. It just would not.
Man, I'm being very bad at finding the map I'm trying to find the example of.
Habitation Station. Good God, do you remember the Scarlet against Bomber game? Holy shit!
It was that's a game that made it. That's a game that made the map.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, no, all maps
Habitation,
you don't have to have 4 easily obtainable bases. You just have to have them be obtainable at all. And some maps they aren't. And you don't have to expand together. Like I said, if they're very, very, very hard to take, then yeah, expand together. That's what the goal of the map should be. But yes, you do have to have everyone spawn together. Otherwise, one will just get fucked over. It happens every time. It's like Cantu said, it's illegal to split them. Don't make me out to be the devil here.
You already
Yeah,
are.
so
You just
the
haven't
music,
realized it yet.
as someone who really hates late game nonsense, unfortunately, like, yeah, you kind of get stuck with this situation in teams where like either maps are just super rush friendly or they're going to be super late game friendly. And I think in theory you could argue about this a lot, but I think in general you'd rather have a map where games get past like the 3-minute mark and just endure the horrible. But I'll get to that in 4v4.
Yeah, ought be noted that, guys, if you have a limited pool of IQ points and you want to allocate them the smartest way possible, the smartest way possible to allocate those IQ points is to the 2v2 ones. The 3v3 ones and the 4v4 ones are welcome additions. You can say like they are like less competitive, etc. So maybe you can strategize against the IQ points of the other map makers, but the 2v2 ones are the ones that get received like the most attention and the most judging generally.
Superhuman, it's that there is really a big difference. I don't remember the name of the 4v4 map, but you know the one where there's like 4 back bases and then you have to expand outwards and there's golds in the outer middle where there's rocks. It's been in the pool forever. There's a very high potential for fast playing cannon rushes and cheesy play overall, but then there's also the potential at the same time for having this late game experience. And it's not, I say it again, I'm using the word so much, but it's so vital to what I'm explaining. There's that balance between the two that really makes the map. You have to have the balance. If there's too much of one, it's just a shit map. Like Flooded City was a horrible map. I cannot believe some people didn't have it vetoed. So yeah,
Big if true.
yeah. Fucking Flooded City. I remember the 3-hour game I had when the Raven patch was a thing. Christ. I sat in the map for 3 hours. I missed dinner, dude. I fucking missed dinner. Just fucking sacked Hydras and Swarm Hosts and Vipers at the Terran. At the end, I was so mad. I can't even. Oh,
Like Age of
that was like
Empires.
3 years ago, and I remember it. All right, he wants to look at Imperial Mine.
Oh, Empire of the Mount. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
went to jump into Enigma from the 4v4.
I finally found that 4v4 map.
Oh, he wants tectonic plates as well.
Tectonic.
Is that him in the picture? Is that a cosplay? Superhuman? Is that you?
That's him. It's Jim.
Is that
Reynolds.
actually him?
No, it's Jim Reynolds.
Oh, I can't see. My screen's so tiny. Superhuman. Okay.
Okay, this is Tectonic
Oh, yeah, it
Plates.
is.
3v3.
Yeah, I've never known how to pronounce that name.
This map is just
Thing.
it's interesting, and you're basically guaranteed to have 2 bases, but
And
then
you'll
it's
never see
not a
them.
guarantee.
Never see another one.
Yeah, it's too easy to siege up the third while you can't do anything about it. There is nothing you can do about it. it would be very different if you could defend it or if you could counterattack, but you just can't.
I just don't. Yeah, it's yeah, the floor's loud. Yeah, I mean, you can't. Where's your third base on this map?
Yeah, where is it?
These ones, and
Yeah.
you need to destroy rocks for these ones.
That is stupid. Remove the rocks and
Well,
make a
I
more
think-
accessible
I
ramp.
think it's just a good example of it's just why are we making it so hard for people to just play a real game of StarCraft and get three
Yes.
bases and make units? Like,
Exactly.
I-
Remove all the rocks, honestly, except the ones that your enemy has to destroy.
like if you like went back to, in my opinion, past maps in Legacy of Void teams that have been palatable have, in my opinion, always been the ones that are the most also prone to just going into horrible late game states. But they've also had the most just like reasonable games. Like Black Site, you remember that one that's been on ladder forever?
Yes, I remember
Yeah,
Black
like
Site.
that map is just a horrible turtle thing, but like it also just works better. like-
Maizen, can you respond to some of these things that they're saying?
Yeah, so I think we can agree that in Legacy of the Void you need three bases. Like you can't do
Yes.
stuff on two bases. I mean, definitely Zerg on two bases can't do anything in this game.
God,
Oh,
yes. I'd say Circle.
I suggest, if I'm sure everybody here knows, but let's say you're Zerg and you just want a Ling Flood on two bases. You're just gonna get a ton of extra money. Like just take your third base, you know. Yeah, it's you really need, everyone needs to be able to get three bases to play to actual games of StarCraft.
Overgrowth. Is that Overgrowth? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, they're just memeing. Okay, Killer, which are the Marras maps? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the names. For 3v3, for 2v2.
I don't know. I don't know any of the names, and that's why I'm saying like maybe
Yeah.
if it would be more rigged in a
Wait,
good way for certain people if I knew the names of who was making maps. But I
before
don't.
we move on from this map, I need to
Anti-rigged.
give feedback how to make it actually better. So I can't do. Can you go into
Yeah.
the editor? All right, you see the easy third bases, right? To the right?
Supposedly those ones.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Add rocks to the outside ramp.
Oh yeah.
Go to the other side.
Are you serious? They didn't have?
It might not
Yes,
be like the
That's where you
worst.
should have rocks.
I don't know why
And
they're
make an airspace above it, to the left above it,
And make
like we did on
airspace.
Oratario. Yes, make airspace
Okay.
there. Yes, this would make it viable because now you can't just siege the third, and they can never have a third because they can't attack there. They just can't.
Something like that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, even a
To the other
slightly
side,
bigger
maybe.
airspace. No, on the other side's fine, I think.
Yeah, because there won't ever be like a siege
Yeah.
tank attacking here that you can't reach.
Exactly. You can siege against those siege tanks if they're there. And to those saying that I've lost too many siege tanks, I have, but siege tanks are too strong. They're so easy to make overpowered.
So just like
Fuck.
quick and dirty.
Low ground area is kind of wide. You mean the one where we said you don't need airspace?
Honestly, I just think
The one it's wide, but there's no way that you can contest that, really, because of the base. You just can't contest it if they siege it. Having some airspace or even just like terrain to make it unpathable would make the map better, and it would make it more viable. And we're not just trying to shit on your map, we're trying to make it better and help you improve it.
I think the
No, I-
superhuman. I think the superhuman needs to lose like a bunch of games where like you have an enemy abusing like literally that is scene. No,
Yes,
and I say
I'll
it
do
because
it myself.
that's something that you need to learn from experience sometimes.
I'll do it myself.
I just
There
want-
you
I-
go, super.
as a
There you go.
counterpoint to kind of a lot of this stuff with this map, I'm gonna link a picture of a ladder map from a previous season because a lot of the things with these maps is we can't open them, we can't really play them, we can't get 6 people to test. So it's kind of easier to talk about just like 3v3 map principles based on previous examples. Like so a map like this, which was
Is
on
this
ladder.
Black Site?
Yeah, black
Yeah.
site.
I like this one actually, kind
On
of.
ladder for a very, very long time. The person, so imagine you're the guy who spawns bottom right corner, very corner, top left corner. I generally would just double Nexus first or double CC first if you're in the back.
Yes.
Not even joking. Because it's completely safe. It's free. Your teammates will defend you. So yes, this map is horribly oriented towards obnoxious turtling, mass carriers, mass battle cruisers, whatever. But the plus side is everybody's going to be able to actually do stuff. No one's just going to get cheesed out. You can help each other. You can get early bases. You can establish a real economy, get a decent army. And ultimately, what became good about a map like this is the middle bases became a real point of contention, and they are hard to hold, and whoever would hold them would generally end up winning. But so I think just the kind of idea is that you have to trend towards the first initial bases being just very easy to take, very easy to hold, and go from there. Because you're just going to, otherwise, you're just going to have maps that are just going to be completely unplayable just from their first 6-9 base setup, if you know what I mean.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
This map, I'm probably the biggest proponent for having a lot of bases for each player. I love having a lot of bases, and this map doesn't have it, but I still like the map. And the reason for that is you can still get 3 bases basically, and then you have to actually fight for the middle. And in this position, even though you can siege the gold bases quite easily, they're also fairly easy to defend and to repel those sieges because of the chokes in the middle. You can't set up a massive split of Marines and Marauders.
Yes.
Yeah.
I negative. I totally get it. 3s and 4s just operate differently than 2s, and it's just very weird how it works. It just like this map. I look at it. I'm like, oh, I played it, dude. I go double CC first on this map and like never get attacked. It's horrible that's kind of what you get. But you get more. You get less non-games by having a map set up like this, and there's a huge percent of non-games on other kind of things. And honestly, yes, you need 3 bases to play a real game of StarCraft, but also a Zerg can't do a lot against a 3-base Protoss or a 3-base Terran without a 4th base, right? So this base is going to force you pretty quickly to move into the middle of the map because, yeah, a Zerg can't just sit there. Like, imagine one team is 3 Zergs. Well, how are they going to get their 4th bases without very quickly, moving into the middle? So
I will say that this map wasn't perfect.
It wasn't, but
this
I think
map was overpowered as fuck for Protoss, Terran, because the Terrans would just, one would go mech and one would go bio. The bio guy would drop everywhere, and the mech guy would defend, and the Protoss would just make mass air. I remember I had like a 100% win streak on this map when I actually queued with some friends of mine. I mean,
I agree.
we just would not lose.
I agree that the pure cancerous of all cancerous arranged teams make maps like this so miserable. But I think when you're talking about getting something to ladder that's playable, you're going to get very few non-games on this map. You're going to get, people can play StarCraft on a map like this, which is, I guess that's all you can ask for sometimes. Just everyone can just play an actual game of StarCraft.
Yeah,
It's a very low bar to meet, but that's kind of what you get with 3s and 4s. You have to pass that
can
threshold.
comment in the Discord. People are talking for those that are watching the YouTube video. So Anarchy is mentioning that the gold bases in the center for this case will be gold bases, and I will tend to agree, except for the situation that because the entire map is a fortress, and you are taking the gold bases, and you already have a secured income at base. So it's not that the gold bases are not winner bases, because they kind of are for map makers. Is that because you already have a secured income at base, you can just lose that bases and you don't lose the game. And if your opponent managed to secure like a fair amount of those bases, it doesn't matter because you already have your own income. Like, this is matters for the difference between ecology and economics, or the income, because a gold base in a normal winner base it is simply because you gain extra income, not because you gain like extra edge on the ecology of your bases. And the
And I
ecology is
should
just the rates at which the base mines out. But
And
yeah,
I also just note on this map, like I said, there's that's your fourth bases are in the middle, and there were a ton of games where like you would lose a base and someone would retake them. It wasn't like games would just be decided by
yeah.
holding these bases totally, because they are like your only this is the only place to expand. And the music's right. This map's a meme. It's a horrible turtle disaster. Also works because you're gonna get the least non games.
Also, I
Okay.
need to add the reason that this map is okay, even though you can siege the natural super easy. It's because it's not the main, honestly.
Can you imagine
It might
walking
sound simple.
space across this map and just not losing?
Yeah.
That's the
But
real
you could just siege them back.
sieging mains and stuff. It's just you're never gonna get if you get that far into your opponent's territory, you're winning no matter what unit you have.
Yes.
Okay, Killer Smile requests Primordium. Okay, I'm not sure who made this, but that's like ICL like levels pretty. Oh, Mycen, you there?
Yeah.
Snowy, you there? Oh, okay. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm making sure that I'm not disconnected. I know that you
Yeah,
guys are
so
like watching
this
the
map
things.
where yeah, I think I think people being very far apart at the start, and it's just that the people are too separate from each other. And I think a Zerg player is gonna have a very like one Zerg being in the 6 or the 2 spot. Say there's a Zerg in 6, a Protoss in 2. The 2 player can't do anything to assist the 6 player. It's just
I will have to say that this map, the split bases are okay because they can't be attacked from multiple angles. There's only one entrance to the 3 bases, which makes it okay that they're split.
there's two.
It's
There's
not.
two.
Wait, there are. Wait, am I missing?
There's two kind of ways into that.
Oh, I missed the second ramp. Yeah, that's not okay then.
So to me, it's just an issue. This is just the kind of thing where it's just like 2 and 6 are too far apart from each other. And yeah, 6, like if 6 is a Zerg, he can't wall. And if 2 is a Protoss, he's going to have to just be like, I have to sit in this base because if I move out, I'm going to die. And you get really bad gameplay dynamics when you have that.
Yeah, you
I mean,
can't.
yeah.
You can't join forces in the front. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing.
You will
can't.
die. You will get surrounded and die.
Yes. You will
Whatever,
die. There,
yeah,
you
one
can't.
person is just one person can just yeah, it's very bad. And
Yes.
I need so also we need to point out is like there will be a lot of games when I talk about non-games. I don't know how many of you play team games a lot. Like let's say you're in a 2v2 game and your teammate's like, yeah, I'm just gonna make bio against this ZT team, and you're like, yeah, but like what if they make Hellions? We're kind of just ling Hellions, and that's a non-game. So you have to kind of help people as much as possible, and with the maps making things even harder is difficult. So I think in a situation like this, the one person is just way too far away from their teammates.
Yep. Yeah, I will say if there was only the one entrance, this map would be more okay. Or if there were destructible rocks at the second ramp, it would be much more okay. But still, I wouldn't love it. It
And
just
I have
improve it.
an issue with the in general the idea of like back bases, because in the early stages, a Zerg should not. It's difficult for a Zerg to say like, oh, I'll just take a back base here. You know what I mean? I think because it's. I think you have to acknowledge that like, oh look, I'm gonna get attacked by their Zergling flood. So if I'm just expanding into the back, it's not real. It creates like weird just expansion dynamics to be able to have that situation happen.
All right, I'm just gonna answer Killer Smile. It's not the fact that you must always be able to reach any teammate. It's the fact that you don't want the possibility of not being able to go down the ramp to help your teammate, which is why you should spawn together so you can go down one ramp together to expand or to push back. Because if you get split, and this is the thing that happens in 3s and 4s and even 2s, they just Ling Hellion or Ling Hellion Phoenix or Ling Oracle or Ling Bane Oracle or whatever, and there's nothing you can do. Your teammate will die. Because if you go down the ramp, you're dead because you get surrounded. Because you can't join forces like they said you could. You actually can't.
Yeah, imagine you're in the 2 spawn. You're trying to walk that distance to the 6. Like the person, they can, your units are so isolated. They're so far away, and
Yes.
it's just very difficult.
And the reason that it would be okay if the second ramp wasn't there is because then you can just wall the low ground and defend together there, because then you actually can join forces.
You guys will be shocked if you go on ladder. There are like 4v4 maps where people will do the most obscene walls at the start of games just not to get rushed. Like you will sacrifice so much economy just to not get rushed because of the way certain maps are set up. It's horrible. You have to get to that
2
point.
players joining forces could be enough, but 2 can't even join forces here. Imagine if there's like 30 Lings outside the bases and there's 6 Hellions and 5 Phoenixes.
That's the
you
perfect
can't go down any ramp.
That's the perfect example, Snowy, because 2 and 3, it's two, what if the 2 people is a race combo that can't like 2 like Ling Hellion can buy time again for another person to maybe do something, but like maybe you get like a race setup where, and this we see a lot of times, like a Zerg gets attacked by like a ZT and a Protoss player can't do anything. So it's not always created equal. Maybe 2 can join forces, but not all races can fight as 2 as well as others can, and you create kind of, it's random team. You're queuing with a bunch of random people and random spawns and a lot of races. So you get a lot of these issues, and I think as a map maker in 3s and 4s, you kind of want to minimize just losses to just the very unfortunate. I feel for people. I think like
I don't know what you mean. Cantu, maybe.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no,
Can you show us in the map what he means? He says, "What if the middle main split the front area and had 2 ramps?" I don't understand.
I mean, I just like look at Black.
Main...
Like, Buried Caverns was another map that was kind of like Black Site that operated on the same function where everything meets at like one choke, and that's your best way to do it.
I still think if you would have walled every low ground on this, both the low grounds on this map, it could be viable. But it's too much to do. It's too big of a risk to take, because if they break any of the walls, you're just dead entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the natural bases are really small.
Of sorts, yeah.
Like, yeah, you can't even fit like 2 Thors side by side going there. I don't think.
No, you can. They can. It's just the texture that makes it look like smaller than it is.
It looks really small. Maybe.
Let's jump to a couple of the last 44 maps because I really need to log out, sadly.
Yeah, it's getting late-ish.
Yeah, it is getting late.
Thing is, why don't you open up first? Just what was it called?
Gift to the Machine or other one?
How about we give our before we can do gift? Where is it? Can you open up Enigma?
Enigma. Yeah, that was the first one, right? Yeah, the first place.
Yeah. So this is my quick spiel about 4v4 maps. Kind of, you've probably obviously been able to clue in on a lot of this. This map, really boring, pretty miserable. It's just, but to me, when you have maps trending more in like this direction, like to me, Old Country was a good example of kind of like, not Old Country, my mistake, Old Estate. Sadly, I think you get to a spot where it's just like you need to give people as much communal ability to defend each other, keep everybody together as much as possible. allow people to get economies. And like a map like this is like, to me, I look at it, I don't know what you map makers think, but to me it's like, you know, not super inspiring. At least the beginning of the setup is. But to me, I feel like, you know, everybody's going to get an economy and people are going to play StarCraft. And so this map checked a lot of boxes that a lot of 4v4 maps didn't, just because everybody was together and everybody had access to easy expansions. And that's why this map did better than every other map.
Yeah,
just
safe. First place settled in there.
Yeah, and I'm shocked there's never been like a real conversation on these things before, because we've done multiple of these map contests before. But it's unfortunate that these things have trended the way they have, as far as how I think Legacy of the Void's economy plays a part in it. You need so many bases to support 4 people to have, and also you have an issue. There's a map I wanted to bring up. Let me dig out the picture of it real fast so I can mention this to people also.
Concord. Yeah.
Sorry. So yeah, this is a ladder map that was around for a very long time. And yeah, third map. I've judged all 3 of the map contests, so I've been seeing.
Wait, has this been in the pool?
Yeah, this is on 4v4. This is a 4v4 map that was on the pool. I just want to mention something to people about when you're talking about 4v4 base setup. This map has an issue of a lot of space between bases, and so anybody who ever played this map knows the nidus issue with a map like this. So please, when building bases, another good thing about Enigma or whatever it's called, everybody's together and it's easy to defend. You're not getting random shit hidden in between people's bases and just Nidus swarm hosting all game, because that happens a lot in 4v4. So yeah, keeping people just in that square center, like in Old Estate or Enigma, in the map contest, is just the safest thing to do. It cuts down non-games and stupid cheeses and horrible things that people hate playing against.
Wow, some very non-PC jokes going on into this game. But to finish up, let me load up Gift to the Machine, which was basically the last ones of the maps that we will be reviewing. Because I really need to go to pee and do other things. Okay, hopefully that will showcase better the map. Okay.
So yeah, so you look at like this map, and there's just, so this is kind of like a lot like multi-processor, which is a ladder map in the pool now. And yeah, like, so getting your third base is pretty difficult on this map, and doing so kind of yeah, it's tough. It's unfortunate that you need so many bases to play 4 people in Legacy of Void.
Yeah,
you need a ton of bases for that. It's insane.
Yeah, so basically, if you're going to make a 4v4 map, my first thing is I dump about like 80 bases on the map and then start taking them off. That's probably the best way to start.
one at a time, yeah. Deconstruct like some mineral only base. What is the name of the...
And I mean, it's a shame because like, there are maps that can have very interesting stuff going on in like the middle of the map or the fringes of the map or whatever, but just if you have like a bad opening structure for your bases, the map just won't work. And it's a shame because then all this other cool stuff going on in the map just won't ever happen because the map just doesn't function on a basic level.
Yeah,
I'm very upset that a lot of 3s and 4 maps just are pretty much unplayable just because the opening 9 bases or 12 bases, whatever it is.
Okay, guys. Any final one that you guys would like us to review? Team A, music, negative, killer, or someone from some of the maps.
He wanted
from
the Ashen Cradle. Killer wanted the Ashen Cradle.
Ashen Cradle. I'm getting a map image. Oh, this is high saturation stuff.
Oh my god, yeah, Jesus.
Okay, there you can see the
Lava's flowing.
Ashen Cradle. You guys still have the overviews, so I'm not sure why you want me to.
Sorry, I'm processing.
Yeah, it's
I have
fine.
to refer back to what I get. I have to look at the document. So sorry for the delay. Yeah. So I think this map is pretty inoffensive. I don't think it's great. I think it's pretty fine. You know, you get bases. People, all these maps are just so medium for fours, and it's not your fault. It's just the way 4v4's fault is.
Yeah, it got like cut off by 1 decimal point.
No,
So-
this map was very close. This map was
Yeah.
closer to what? It's closer to the being third than it is to being 6, right?
37 or something. Yeah.
Exactly. It's very. This was pretty much, you know, if there was a consolation prize, this map won it. It's perfectly fine. It works. It's okay. It's just a map that seems like it would probably work because there's enough bases. People are able to theoretically do stuff on it. I mean, I hate using terms like this for maps, arguing its merit on whether or not people can do stuff, but
I have something to say about a map like this, and it's not this specific map per se, but it's more 4v4 as a game mode, and most of the maps that come with 4v4. And it's the fact that sometimes, let's say I spawn closest to the bottom left, and I'm farther
To the bottom
away
left, yeah.
from the expansions on the outer side of the map than my teammate is, for example, and I'm forced to expand extremely far away. That's like, that wouldn't be inherently bad since I have a teammate that could defend, but like 4v4, what Maizen said before about MMR and stuff, you cannot rely on your teammates defending for you. So what I would like to see more in 4v4 is have the opportunity to have more expansions closer to the main and not be so extremely far from the main. Because if you're spawning in the bottom left and you have to take the expansion all the way to the right because your teammates, as a third base, that you just can't defend. Basically, it's
negative.
not possible.
Yeah, it is just sheer distances. It is just sheer
Yes.
distances. Yeah, negative with other memes.
No, I mean, as much as it's a meme, I mean, sadly, that's kind of what you end up with. Like that map, obviously, it's not a real map, but you know what I mean, right? It's just like you want to make. It's depressing to have to say it.
Oh, the stream might go down for a second while this image finishes
It's loading. So,
Yeah.
Jesus, what a map! That looks like an arcade map.
But yeah,
Fortress with bases for multiple
irony of
players.
all this
Yes.
is not lost on us. Do not worry. I totally get it, and it's unfortunate that you have to trend towards enabling really cancerous, horrible macro play in order to get more games that are like middle ground. Because if you can have, it's kind of, yeah, you know what I mean. Like it's like we like, let's say there's a 1v1 map that's like, I guess the best example is Blood Boil, the 2v2 map, is like you can only play one way on Blood Boil. So when you get to 3v3s and 4v4 maps, the bigger it is, the more bases, the safer things are, the more possible ways you can play. Which obviously not ideal, but that's the way you got to trend.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So I believe that will be basically it for the maps that we can cover.
And I'd be fine in talking about.
No, yeah, It's because I need to cut up the stream, and I need to cut up the video, and I need to go to the bathroom, and my brother needs to do some work. So
I just wanted to say to the various map makers, discussions about the theory in 3s and 4s. I'm glad to talk about that stuff whenever. So I think is kind of absurd that there hasn't been, like, as we're talking about this, it's kind of absurd that this stuff, because you guys are 1v1 map makers and there's a team contest, and it's not really super reasonable to expect a lot of, it's a huge, completely different format. 2s are different than 3s and 4s, and they're so different from 1s and from each other that it's unreasonable to expect it to just be common knowledge.
yeah,
I think it's weird to consider people as 1v1 map makers. The reason why people make 1v1 maps is because that's like where the attention is, and that's where the money is, other than the team TLMCs, which used to be pretty rare.
Yeah. So but that makes sense, right? Like, StarCraft is a 1v1 game at a pro level. So if I'm not a map maker, but I would probably make 1v1 maps, right?
yeah. Which is
I'm just saying, because I have way more team games than 1v1s played. Like, I've hit Masters and teams like 20, 30 times. And
same
it's like,
with, for example, Meavis. That also was a special.
Yeah,
but that's a different, because there is also like different flavors of map development within the teams, etc. If I buy team games, a Gorillion one. Yeah, that's generally as it goes. But anyhow, guys, I believe that will be it for the stream. So, Mason, if you want to hang out and just keep answering the questions, like, you are free to do it. Free to do it.
Yeah, I can stick around for a bit if anybody wants.
Snowy, you
Yeah.
too. But
I
yeah.
will.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think it's worth just like, I'm in the Discord. I have the info, so conversations like this can happen theoretically whenever.
Yeah. The guys can freely ping you and annoy you as much as they want, and they will probably. So get ready for it.
That's fine.
That's fine. Anyhow, final comments. Snowy, Mason.
Just don't split players and don't make bases too hard to defend or too easy to attack.
Yeah,
That's
and
the main
have
thing
their bases
we can
that are
do.
available.
That's the main takeaway from this.
I didn't know where anybody spawned on the map, and it made judging it very difficult.
Oh
That's
yeah,
the big.
I will make the video for them, so don't worry about it.
Did we go over Eldritch Temple?
I don't. You'll when you look at it, you'll know. But yes, the issue.
Let me check then.
Big issue with it.
Yeah,
Hang on, let
you
me
guys
check.
will have to check it out on
Was
your
it
own
2v2?
because I really need to log off.
Wait, was it 2v2 or 3v3?
Let T2 get going. It's a 4v4 map.
4v4. Okay, let me take a look by my own here. Hang on.
Anyhow,
it's this
Oh,
dude.
that's yeah, I see it.
My comment would be
This one just does not have enough bases.
I just want
It's a
to say,
4v4 map.
I want to say thanks for the maps in general. I think the team maps have gotten a lot better since there's been map contests in general. I think the latter, especially 2s, have been much better in recent years than they were in the couple of years prior. Like 2015 had good 2s maps in general. Early Legacy of the Void, it's like everyone's feeling it out, and Blizzard was making all the maps, so it was pretty brutal for 2016, 17 or so. But as there's been more map contests, there's been much better general map quality in the 2s, and so thank you for submitting, and I think the map pool has gotten a lot better, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You guys are great judges. Absolutely great judges.
I also think
in comparison to me needing to go out head hunting for the pro gamers. But yeah, guys, this will be the end of it, at least from my end. Take care.
Yeah, you too, man.
Yeah, just stay around. Have fun.
Yeah, we will. You too, man. Are we sticking around for anything more?
Yeah.
If anybody has more questions, we could answer them.